This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. We must increase vaccinations among the unvaccinated with new vaccination requirements.
It's not going to work. We have other countries with much higher rates of vaccination, and they're seeing record surges of COVID because that's what viruses do.
Many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who are still not vaccinated.
Them, their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
Rest in peace, Wheezy.
We are going to need the people to engage in age-old American tradition of simply saying, no, I'm not going to comply. Now, what are you going to do about it? It never stops. They want things to get worse because they want you to suffer so that they can grandstand on your suffering and push for even more control.
They have criminalized freedom. They've made getting sick illegal.
This isn't about COVID any more than the Patriot Act was about Al-Qaeda. It's about government asserting more control over your lives, your rights, your properties, and in this case, your bodily autonomy.
It has a lot of vaccinated people alarmed because of the power grab that's involved.
Enough is enough. We better change our tune and start resisting.
Government makes up less than 1% of the population. If even 5 or 10% of Americans simply refuse to comply, all of this goes away.
Absolutely, this is the hill worth dying on.
We haven't given the statutory authority to any agency to do this kind of thing.
There is no such thing as government power. There's only what we are willing to comply to.
We're in the tough stretch, and it could last for a while.
That's what this has always been about. It's never about what they say it is. It's about controlling you. And it ends when we decide to end it.
This BS is going to stop.
It's time for us to wake up.
There's only one way to fight back against this, and it's mass non-compliance.
This is the most important thing to fight against.
You can help stop this. You are the power.
There's nothing, not a single thing we're unable to do if we do it together.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to y'all. It's Thanksgiving Eve, and we're going to talk about things that have nothing to do with Thanksgiving, but they do have to do with holidays, and they do have to do with, the news and offensive shit that we're not supposed to. Before we get into anything, let me just lead off with the title of the episode. If you're not familiar with My Chemical Romance, go look into what the Black Parade is before you make assumptions about my meaning here. Just throwing that out there. It has nothing to do with race. None of the things that we're going to talk about today has anything to do with race. Just kidding. Obviously, a lot of it does, unfortunately. But we're going to get into all that in just a moment. Before we do, let's kick this thing off, give you guys a minute to get in here, and let's get weird.
All I ask is, if we have to give these bastards our lives, we give them hell before we do!
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
I would ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he really means that.
We have to stop supporting what I call activist support.
I don't know what I said. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
Thieves were possessing weapons of mass destruction. 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda.
Handle the truth! I remember that with that smoke! We are still here!
We have to say yes to socialism.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
It's a big old club, and you most certainly are not in it because you're one of us, one of the freaks, one of the weirdos that spends their time actually finding out information and things that happen in the world rather than just eating the spoon-fed garbage that CNN or Fox News or MSNBC would have you ingest. Welcome back to the show. Kill the music. Welcome back to the show. This is the place where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, religion, culture, news, things that trigger you. Things, as I like to say, that your family is currently right now praying that you don't bring up around the Thanksgiving dinner table. We're here to give you the ammunition to make it a fun, festive holiday tomorrow. I don't necessarily encourage you to bring these up around the Thanksgiving dinner table, but if you do, at least we'll help you be a little bit more informed. Before we get into that, we have to remind you about a couple wonderful sponsors, first and foremost being Y'all in the Downers Club. People like Gigi Vaughn, Zach Arthanarchy, Lisa Debus, Cole is in the chat, I believe. Simply Cole, is that you? I don't know. Carolina B is in the chat. Jack Casey's around here somewhere. Kyle Evans, Derek Evans, Tim Brown, Aaron Stute, Nathan Sipes, David White, Lucas Riley, Mary Rome, John Barnhouse, and a whole bunch of other people. If you would like to get your name on that list, if you would like to support this show, if you would like to get more weird, more raw, more offensive, more weekly content, bonus episodes of the show every single gosh darn week, go on over to patreon.com/The System Is Down and sign up for the Downers Club for as little as $5 a month. That is less than a super chat per month. And I noticed at the end of last week's episode, somebody said in the comments, hey, why are the super chats disabled? Ask YouTube. I don't fucking know. But I would love to have them not be disabled. I've never been allowed to have super chats because all of this entire channel and everything I do here for YouTube is completely demonetized, and they won't really tell me why. They don't seem to like me poking fun at their boy, Jeffrey Epstein, but I don't know. Anyway, if you want to support, you can do so for as little as the cost of one. That is only one super chat, and you'll not only get a super chat, you'll get to hang out with us in the Downers Club after party and chat with us live, and I usually end up reading 90%, if not 100% of the comments there. So come on over, join that, and get in there at patreon.com/The System Is Down before the end of this if you would like to be a part of the after party after. Do it, and I'll love you forever. Anyway, we are also sponsored by a few more things. We have, of course, the shirt store. The shirt store has some of your favorite classics, such as the Let's Go Brandon classic. That one sure to get some people in the Christmassy mood if you wear it out to Christmas this holiday season. Or ones like HailMeta.com if you'd like to confuse your friends. Hail Meta, praise be. You can get the I Survived the Forever Purge, and all I got was this spicy flu. I guess Nancy Pelosi could use that one sometime soon, as she's and we'll talk about that. And the Soylent 19, the vaccine is people, because as we all know, the vaccine is people. And again, that's thesystemsdown.tv/store, where you can get all those wonderful shirts and so much more. We are also sponsored by Kratom, freeounceofkratom.com. I am drinking Kratom right now. I drink it pretty much every episode. Usually I only do it during episodes because it gives me this nice energetic boost and uplift. I used to do it more often. I found that it gives me a little bit of constipation if I do it more than 1 or 2 days, more than, let's say, 3 or 4 days in a row. A couple days in a row are fine, but, maybe I'm drinking too much. I don't know. You should try it out. See if it stops you up. If you're having the squirts like Joe Biden, maybe Joe Biden should try Kratom. Joe Biden, it's not its intended purpose, but hey, whatever works for that man. Am I right? It'll wake him up and stop him up, both at the same time. If you too struggle with dementia, go to freeounceofkratom.com and get your free ounce of Kratom today. Enter the promo code TSID, because you can also use that promo code to get 5% off your entire order of things like colloidal silver, vitamins, minerals, Delta 8 THC, and all sorts of stuff. The Delta 8 THC battle, also update on that. Texas just overruled them trying to illegalize the Delta 8. So for now, we are safe there, and you can go get yours at freeounceofkratom.com or mybraveBotanicals.com and try it. Anyway, we are sponsored by somebody else. I'm not sure if I should mention him here or just wait, but Jack Casey at jackcaseybooks.com. Check him out. He's got 3 books that some people have read, and then he's got 1 new book that I've read about half of, and it's not even out yet because I'm invested or something. WVW is the name of the new book. You can get it at jackcaseybooks.com, but we'll talk about that a little bit more momentarily because Travis couldn't make it today. He supposedly has a family that he does things with sometimes, and on those days, he is not able to be here, in which case I just pull some random homeless man off the street, and today's homeless man just happens to be the one, the only, Jack Casey. Jack, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I am good. Thank you for filling in, and do you have any expectations for how this will go, or how much cancellation you'll receive afterwards?
Bring it on. Let's wing it. I'm excited. It's like high noon over here in the PNW area. So this is actually when I normally wake up. So y'all are lucky, those watching, that I didn't just start live streaming in my panties when I woke up from the bed. So
you never know. You never know. I could be doing that right now. I mean, isn't that the joy of podcasting?
That's true. We can't see below your waist. We have no idea.
Yes, dressed up from the waist up, and I'm not entirely joking. But you know that the news anchors are all doing that shit too. Like, probably all of them, they come in, they dress down to at least shorts or something. Why the hell wouldn't you? But
yeah, once you get your camera angles down, you're good to go. Yeah.
Yes. Now, do we want to talk about the news of your update now, or do we want to hold off on that a little bit? It's your call.
That's a good question. I don't know if you want to, hit them with the cool new thing, or wait, or wherever you want, man. I'm excited for both.
Yeah. So we'll play it now. We've got a video for Jack Casey's new book, and you guys can check it out. And it's I guess, is this the official announcement of the release and all that? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah. Let's do this live. Official.
Well, guys,
I'm committed to it.
You guys are the first to see this, except for me and Jack. So hold on to your butts, and away we go. Have it. There it is.
Oh, yeah. So awesome.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what just happened and what people can expect from what this is?
Yeah. What am I up to now? Yeah. Well, after finishing the Royal Green series, the trilogy,
so it's
rather
over.
Than take a break.
The Royal Green series is over? Or are you going to J.K. Rowling that shit in like a couple years?
It's always asterisk over. Depends on what the readers want. But yes, a complete story arc trilogy. And rather than like a normal person, take a freaking break and enjoy the holidays, I was like, I'm not done. No, let's do some more.
Like, I bet I could get another one out before the holidays instead.
Like, let's just go all in. Because that was a passion project that took a lot of years. It was its own self-contained thing with some, of course, liberty-minded themes and stuff in it. But my hands were a little tied with it because it was having fun in its own world. And after everything that's happened the last year and a half, I knew I needed to write new material, and I wanted to do something fun where I could just openly ridicule how crazy and monstrous society has become.
Right.
Everything with the COVID regime, we've always known, us conspiracy, or libertarian-minded people, we've always seen how, fucked up the world already was, but with everything lately, it's just it's escalated.
Yeah.
And this is my dark horror / comedy, strange, just satire of it all by having people have normalized the idea that monsters took over, and that, of course, vampires have to drink our blood and we pay like basically a blood tax to them. Or, of course, werewolves are prowling the streets and enforcing curfew and their laws and stuff. And, of course, witches are brewing,
we all know,
toxic potions.
Normal.
Yeah, and pushing potions on us, and and so I've just been having fun writing this thing, man.
And I will say that I was reading it. I was laying awake in bed last night reading it, and there were several points where I was trying not to wake my wife up with laughing. So I will say that it does get a positive review from me. I will also say
very cool.
It's a book for adults.
Oh yeah,
it's a book for adults. But if you're an adult, I think you'll get a good laugh at it and a good. It's interesting. It's thought provoking, and yeah, you have my seal of approval thus far. Again, I'm just under halfway through, so it'll probably take me 3 more months to finish this short book because that's how I work. But yeah, so far so good, and yes,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and you're like me. You're locked in now, so it's Yeah,
I don't have a choice.
I'm glad
now.
so far. You're not regretting it. You're like, oh, this is actually still really fun.
Yeah, I had really nothing at all going on in my life, so I'm not busy at all.
Why not?
It was great. It was great so far. Really digging it, and I'll give my updates and thoughts on it as we go. Let's get into some news. Are you first off? Tell people where they can get that. They know, but where can they find out all the info on this book?
Yeah, so I mean, theroyalgreen.com still works. It takes you to the same site, but it's rebranded now as jackcaseybooks.com. Now that I have other books forthcoming in series. And this thing too, it's a short story. It's only 6 chapters. I just wrote it over like 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a challenge for myself to just do like a little mini story. And it's kind of like a pilot episode. I think of it almost like a season that could be renewed. So if people love this and they love the characters and like the weird, creepy, alternative world I've created, then, tell people, buy it, share it, rate it, and when it comes out, and I'll do more. There's a lot more to tell in this world with these characters. So
I did not mean to click on panties as the next one. It was supposed to go to the next. No, Shannon said, God
it
bless.
Might get your panties in one.
God bless Jack. His enthusiasm is amazing. I can't even write a shopping list without hating life. Yes. Nice.
Yeah,
all right.
This one was fun.
We are going to dig into some news now. And Jack, if at any moment you're like lagging or whatever, I'll just tell you to like jump out and jump back in. And that usually
sure.
fine. But yeah, if it seems like we're getting behind, we'll try that. But anyway, as you guys know out there, when we do this, we basically just we watch and read and learn about what's happening in the world, and then we make jokes that get us in trouble as we go. And we always try to start out with the good news, the positive stuff to really set the tone, so that we can properly pull the rug out from under you after. Just spoiler alert, it's going to get dark today. But we got to start out with the good stuff, and the good stuff is this. This is the greatest news I've heard in a while. Have you heard about the Reese's 3.5-pound peanut butter cup pie for Thanksgiving, Jack Casey?
We have some Reese's peanut butter cups in the pantry right now that,
melt them all down and pour them into a pie pan and make this yourself.
That is perfect.
And for some reason, this is getting headlines. Like there's actual news outlets. This comes from CBS Channel 4 WBZ, and we're going to get their take on the very important article of Reese's 3.5-pound peanut butter cup pie for Thanksgiving. Here we go.
This is a peanut butter lover's dream. Reese's created this 9-inch peanut butter cup pie for Thanksgiving. It weighs nearly 3.5 pounds, making it the largest peanut butter cup ever created. It costs $45. Reese's only made 3,000 of them available, and sadly, but maybe to no surprise, they are already sold out.
They're sold out. They're already sold out. So the good news even sucks. That's what we're dealing with today. Jack, do you have any thoughts on this very important article of 3.5-pound peanut butter cups?
Whatever we can cling to in these trying times to just celebrate something.
Take the W, man. 3,000 people out there just got a really happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Now, if you got one of the 3,000 3.5-pound peanut butter cup pies that were created ever, what would you do with it? Like, I would feel like I shouldn't eat it because it's a rare thing.
Right. It's now like
it's a collector's
put it in
item.
a glass case. Yeah. And be like, this is one of the first, I'm sure those would last a while too, right? I don't think they would really go bad.
I don't know,
they
man.
Could sit in there forever.
About a year after Halloween peanut butter cups, they start to get that gray film on it. I don't know what that is or where it goes, or where it comes from, but it would probably just gray over and it wouldn't be as appealing.
They're like, what is this, a rock? It's like, no, it was the legendary peanut butter pie.
Tale of a time nobler than these when the Reese's peanut butter cups were 3.5 pounds, kids.
Maybe I'll put that in the story. Like someone uncovers, they're like, I have, in the before times, before the monsters. Yeah.
Yes.
The ancient peanut butter pie.
Yeah. Now, before we get into other new, I guess, national news and stuff, I do have to give a shout out to, this is good and bad news. I guess you could take it both ways. Good news that this guy did what he did. Bad news that it happened to him. But this is from Libertarian Party, New Hampshire, so I'm giving a shout out to them. Plaistow, New Hampshire School Board attempts to reinstate segregation in the 21st century. Parent and LPNH chair Nolan Pelletier arrested for refusing to leave masked only section of school board meeting. So we'll watch this real quick. And it won't play because it's Twitter. 1 second.
All right. I'm not disabled.
Okay.
I don't.
She's read off the guidelines to you, right? Okay, you understand that you can be criminally trespassed from this premise. Is that what you're asking to do?
I'm not. No, I'm asking to attend a meeting.
Okay, you can attend the meeting. They're just asking that you follow the guidelines to sit in the other section.
I'm not disabled though.
Okay. Well,
so I'm not disabled.
Follow the guidelines, right? Correct.
All right.
Okay. So hang on. Would you like to have this person criminally trespassed?
I would like to have that person
all right, sir.
criminal trespassed.
You have to leave at this time.
Okay, I'm not going to resist, so you can take me out of here.
Is what you want to do? What's that? Okay, sir. Okay, please stand up.
Social distancing.
I'm not going to resist. I'm not going to stand up. You'll have to remove me from here. I'm not going to resist you though.
I don't know. I don't know. Is that the way you do that? Is that the way you handle that? Say, I'm not going to resist, but you're going to have to drag my ass out of here because I'm not complying either. I think that's the way to do it. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, like make them do the work. No, I let's just say I know someone who has, on a minimal level, tried some similar stuff where if they're going to say you can't come in here without a mask, you say, okay, well, will you come outside then and bring the product to me or take my car, like see if there's a way they can I would find out which businesses do and don't care. Yeah, but but a little bit be like, look, if you're going to go along this thing, I'm going to make it a little inconvenient. So you can see that, maybe it's easier to just not, comply with some of this stuff.
Right.
And just get in this case, it's not a business, right? It's like some meeting or something.
Well, it's public property. I imagine it's school board meeting, so he has the right to be there, and they made this arbitrary rule of masks, so that's on them. And I think that well, from what they were saying, you can't really see in the video, but from what they were saying, he was socially distancing as well. He's just not wearing a mask, and he's not sitting in what they had set aside, which was a handicap space for people who are not willing to not wear a mask. It's like, I'm not handicapped. You are handicapped here, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
We live in a time where we're forcing people into handicap sections. Like, we're forcing you to be disabled, basically.
Yeah. And the more people show how absurd it is by even just resisting a little, right? Making it a little inconvenient for them to enforce so that people can see, like, oh, yeah, this is kind of absurd. The cops are here and we're making this guy do this. And we're segregating. Like, you almost have to, like, show people visually, just like the masks are kind of a visual, kind of obedience thing. Like, are you sure this is a society you want where you're going to, segregate people and do these things that, maybe there's a, sure, okay, private property stuff, to people technically having the right to do certain things, but it's like, is this what you want culturally? Is this what you want to become the norm? Are you sure you want to reward anyone willing to enforce this stuff? And why not support the people who are like, yeah, come on in. I don't care. I'm not going to call the cops on you.
Right. And speaking of the world you want and the better future that we're all headed for, breaking news from thehill.com, so you know it's legit. Biden intends to run for re-election in 2024.
No.
Says Jen Psaki. I don't even think Biden ran for election in 2019, let alone running again
who's going to tell Biden?
Right.
Who's going to break the news to Biden?
Yeah.
Who are they kidding? I thought they were trying to figure out how to get rid of him, and then immediately after how to get rid of Kamala Harris. I thought they were already trying to figure out how do we
I suspect that they will, but I think
someone in.
I think that they're just trying to save face and say, yeah, he's perfectly sound of mind and he's great. He's planning on running again in 2024 because, of course, that's what all the Democrats are asking.
Sense.
Like, what are we gearing up for here? What's the plan? And they're like, yeah, he's gonna run. Yep, he'll do that.
Right,
sure. Right up those stairs and right down.
It's kind of like how. It's like they know if we just say the opposite of what's really going on boldly enough.
Right.
Then we can, somehow,
yes.
But they just look more ridiculous to most of us. I don't understand how strategically they don't understand that the more opposite day they get, the less trustworthy. Like, what are you doing? Even from like a Machiavellian standpoint, like you understand you're just throwing your own reputation on the ground over and over and over. But
right. It's the same as like
I
this.
guess some people eat it up.
The Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. It's like at once the court in a jury trial and all this stuff is on TV and everybody can see it that wants it. Maybe at some point pull an Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks at least and go, hey, I was too dumb to watch, like play dumb. I was too dumb to look into this at all over the last year that I was reporting on it. And
Save
now
face
I'm going to
somehow,
say, But no, they're just doubling down on everything. And speaking of things that haven't panned out in their favor, that they're doubling down on, this comes from citizenfreepress.com, so you know it's legit. Nancy Pelosi just paid $25 million to be governed by Ron DeSantis. She bought this nice, lovely mansion here in Florida, which is interesting when, the sea levels are rising. Your house is going to be underwater any day now, according to, I don't know, you. And also Ron DeSantis is a terrible dictator, tyrant governor, but that doesn't stop you from spending $25 million to live under that governor's regime. Jack, your thoughts?
Just these hypocritical bastards. It's just so.
That's all I've got.
They're not even hiding it. That's what's so weird about it. It's like they're so confident that their following is so unquestioning that they can kind of flaunt the fact that they don't believe their own bullshit. And the more they do, the more I'm like, on the one hand, some people do wake up eventually because they're not even good at hiding how full of shit they are. But there's a large swath of people that still are like, starry-eyed and confused. I don't get it. How many times does it take for, Bernie and other all of them, any of them who just
on both
openly
sides too.
defy what they claim for?
Like, how many times are you going to... I mean, obviously, this is specifically for the left at the moment because, that's what we're dealing with in this article. But, it's like how condescending is it? Like, how stupid do you feel knowing that Nancy Pelosi knows that you're very stupid enough to not think, hey, maybe questioning $25 million in a place that she keeps condemning for being this haven of like death and destruction from DeSantis because of this COVID tyranny and all that shit. Like, I don't know. It's absurd.
Yeah. The what was it? The Forever or the
Forever
thing,
Purge.
The ad.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. It's like, come on. You clearly don't believe it.
Yeah, speaking of completely, I don't know, stupid and ignorant and things. Did you hear about J.K. Rowling? This one might be close to your heart. I'm not sure, but J.K. Rowling was uninvited, or not uninvited, but she wasn't invited to Harry Potter's birthday for his 20-year anniversary.
Oh my God.
Yep. Why J.K. Rowling will not feature in Harry Potter 20-year reunion return to Hogwarts. And do you have any guesses before we get into why, Jack Casey?
Oh, I can imagine. I'm sure it's what people think is so evil about her opinions.
And how familiar are you with her opinions?
Well, I know the whole turf thing is just that she's not towing the line on every single little issue regarding that. I don't know if that's the thing this time or if it's something else.
Oh, it is.
But...
It is. That's the thing.
Okay.
Yep. No surprise.
So.
She's got this controversy around her and all these. Well, I read some of this article earlier. And keep in mind, for if you're somehow not familiar, she wrote the Harry Potter books. It's like uninviting George Lucas to a Star Wars event or something. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's basically like that. But if George Lucas had said something as heinous as what J.K. Rowling said, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, this article is just, it says that okay, so last year J.K. Rowling publicly made statements against transgender people and was labeled a TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Yeah.
This led members of Harry Potter, you notice something interesting here. They say this led these people, including Emma Watson, Bonnie Wright, to go against her. Trans people are who they say they are. Like, this is Emma Watson responding and calling out J.K. Rowling. They are who they say they are, and deserve to live their lives without being constantly questioned or told they aren't who they say they are. That was some nice word salad, Emma Watson. But so with this, you notice how they say she said some anti-trans stuff up here, but they never bother to say what those things are. They just say what the responses were.
Oh yeah, just take our word for it that she somehow said some hateful shit or whatever. Yeah, it's just like with Dave Chappelle and anything else. It's like, half the time you look in these things, you're like, this person isn't spewing hatred. They're disagreeing about, a nuance about a very tricky subject where there's a lot of,
Can we start calling people like J.K. Rowling, or no, like people who are attacking J.K. Rowling, can we call them WERFs? Like woman exclusionary radical feminists? Is that a thing?
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, some of this
female exclusionary radical feminists.
Right. It's like they're eating their own. You could take half of what they're trying to push sometimes and turn it around and be like, based on your own categorization and identity war stuff, this is what it can become. It's like this circular firing squad of ideas. Mm-hmm. And it's why I'm so hard against it now. And why I'll just say that there's some people I would love to trigger a bit in this upcoming story, that I have some fun things in there for those who care about things like this. And to
Jack Casey is writing the book that J.K. Rowling wished she wrote.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, look, if I were her, if I had her money and I was an author, and these these obnoxious people trying to, these assholes. Little bitches, you've got the money, you've got the fame. Just, and I don't know what she's been saying, but nothing to apologize for.
We're going to find out.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're going to find out. Okay, good. I'm curious because I like to see how people handle this stuff.
These terrible things that J.K. Rowling said, we're going to talk about them a little bit. People who menstruate, I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. So someone help me out. Wumbin, Wimpund, Wumud.
Oh, good. Okay, so she's doubling. She's like, all right, I'm in the fight then.
Right. So this was, I think, the most offensive, or what people find offensive apparently, but this is in response to an opinion piece saying creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate. And she's saying, we have a word for that. What was that again? So she got a bunch of crap for that. She's also said, if sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people. Important detail there. I know and love trans people. Yeah. But erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. So that's obviously unacceptable. She said the idea that women like me who've been empathetic to trans people for decades feel kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. To male violence, hate, end quote, trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences is a nonsense. Anyway, any thoughts on those? That one was kind of
I mean, obviously, burn the witch, right? No, no, that's good for her to really spell this out, because this assumption, I think, would help break me from the kind of because I dabbled in some wokeritarian stuff last year, and I think what helped shake me out of it was to realize, it's not just people outside supposed identity groups that have these differing opinions. Even people within these so-called identity groups have nuanced and varied opinions. And the fact that, the super woke left thinks they have the authority or self-appointment to speak on behalf of all these identity groups.
Yeah.
And label them under one opinion and well, no, if you support these people, you have this opinion. It's like, even amongst people of various backgrounds, they're going to have disagreements or nuances or thoughts like that. And especially when someone like her or anyone, or like Dave Chappelle and others, are speaking from a place of compassion, and it just, yeah, it's sad to see, but I'm glad someone like her and others
Right.
with, big names can start saying, yeah, no, this is what I think, and you have to persuade me otherwise. You don't get to just
Here's
shut me up
another.
and tell me I can't have this opinion.
Here's another interesting one. I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable with them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. I mean, what do y'all want?
Beautifully said. I feel like every,
they want blood.
Like us would agree.
That's what they want.
She's
blood and brains. Blood and brains.
Clearly we need to
not
burn her at the stake.
Not natural menstrual blood. They want just anyway.
People who menstruate makes it sound like a hobby people choose. Like
gonna go out and menstruate this weekend.
Yeah,
Gonna paint this town red, if you know what I mean.
People who menstruate. It sounds like a weird like TV show, like a TV show comedy title.
I think that's called Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I could be wrong.
That's right.
Anyway, more recently, J.K. Rowling was attacked by the shock. She was attacked by the transgender movement again, and they doxed her. They posted her address, and she had.
Oh my God! What?
Yep, she's had her address posted on Twitter. Let's see what we've got here.
You psychopaths.
The eve of Transgender Day of Remembrance, Holly Stars actor Georgia Frost and drag king Richard Energy staged a demonstration in front of Rowling's home near Edinburgh, Scotland, in protest against her controversial views on the trans community. So they're going to her house, which, I don't know, as a libertarian, I'm not sure I'm not sure where I land on the bring an angry mob to somebody's house for offensive speech thing. Obviously, I'm not for it, but should it be illegal? Not necessarily, unless they're on her property, then yes. But I don't know. What do you think?
I could see, I mean, the intent is clearly to intimidate and threaten, so that makes it really fucked up. Thankfully, I'm sure in her case, she can protect herself and do certain things, but it's just, it's gross to think that even if you had a technical right, just that, this idea of doxing and threatening people, it's like, are you, I don't know how people who do this don't realize they reinforce how petty and weak ass bitches you are. Because your feelings are hurt by her words. You want to basically intimidate, possibly threaten, maybe even encourage people to physically harm a person.
Right.
And I don't know if it's just because also she's famous, and there's also people like to say that, well, if you're famous, you're like a fair target. But it's just it's so gross, and I don't know why anyone thinks that would help.
Right,
your cause.
A bunch
and be fair,
bunch of trannies swarm your house, and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I like you guys now. You're starting to sway me here." Like, when has that ever changed somebody's mind?
A bunch of non-menstruating people show up, and it's just, and to be fair too, exactly. I'm sure there's plenty of trans people and other people who would never dox someone who are like, "Excuse me, that doesn't represent me. What are you doing?" So I try to remind people who think they're helping certain indie groups by going along with some of this, it's also for the sake of those people that you don't want this crazy, threatening shit, because is that going to help people have, but it's so counterintuitive. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not unlike the BLM stuff, obviously we have no problem with trans individuals. We have no problem with black individuals. None of that shit. But what I have a problem with is any angry mob of any ideology at all. Threatening violence or causing violence or causing destruction. I have a problem with that.
Same. It'd be just as fucked up if, a bunch of, white Klansmen run around and intimidate people. It's like, it doesn't matter what the label is. Just don't do the initiating violence thing, please. And it's weird that people can't figure that out. And I don't know if it's again, the woke stuff, they have a way of pretending that they speak for everyone of certain groups.
Right.
And You talk
Yeah,
to actual
I can't
people.
imagine being an actual like a trans person who's just a normal person that wants what these people are saying they want, which is just to be considered normal in society and to not be looked down upon. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's the mob that I have an issue with, and I don't care what's between their legs. And I would imagine most trans people probably agree. It's the very small minority of very loud people who definitely don't want to just be treated as normal. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to cancel J.K. Rowling for making a statement. Like, that's not wanting to be left alone and be considered normal. That's causing a stir to, call for blood and burn a witch, I guess.
And this idea that we're going to let this vocal, psychotic, extreme minority claim to be the face of a bunch of people they got nothing to do with is insane. And it's insulting to the very people that they claim to care for. It's like, no. You don't get to appoint yourself the spokesman of this cause or that cause. Sure, there's going to be a bunch who agree with whatever they're saying, but like, it's just, I don't think we
Donald Trump doesn't speak for me as a white man. I know that's what they want to pretend, but no, it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I'm
just as annoyed if someone's like, on behalf of white people, I believe, be like, you don't fucking
speaking from the white community.
Right, the white community. What white community? Like, no.
Right. No. Now we're gonna keep rolling here. We've got quite a bit to get through today. I did want to get an update on our boy. Do you know who our boy is, Jack Casey?
Oh, the boy. Yeah, big boy with the big plans. Yeah. Mr. Bill Gates himself.
The world today has 6.8 billion people. Now, if we do a really great job, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Gates Watch.
Yes, it is another fun-filled segment of Gates Watch where we take a look at the creepy, definitely not connected to Epstein weirdo guy who is currently trying to block out the sun, who is buying up all the farmland, who is pushing for artificial breast milk, who is I don't know. There's so many things. But his latest endeavor is buying up all the media now. Documents show Bill Gates has given $319 million to media outlets to promote his global agenda.
Of course.
Yeah. Now,
I'm surprised they told. They usually don't say that out loud.
Well, this is the gray zone. This guy goes on Jimmy Dore's show a lot. So he's like I believe he's like a left-wing guy, but he's a sane one, like Jimmy Dore is.
Okay.
I think Jimmy Dore is pretty good.
Okay.
I disagree with him on like economics and stuff like that, but on stuff like Bill Gates being a creepy weirdo, they're good on it. So, yeah.
When the left used to care about weird shit like that wealthy,
right.
billionaires or corporations were doing. Yeah. Before they were like, let's please suck pharma's dick. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like I said the other day, the left used to be against war and big pharma. Now they're only pushing for
what
war.
Happened?
If you just happen to be against big pharma, which is what we're dealing with right now. But just that, it's pretty much all of them. If you dig into it, it's NPR. It's the NPR. He gave 24 million. The Guardian. He gave 12 million. Univision, Weta, CNN, BBC, who else? Upworthy, The Atlantic, News Deeply, Al Jazeera, and all over the world. He's just PBS, the company that we fund. He's paying them off now. And there's when you're the one that has these, what's the word, philanthropic endeavors where you're helping to create vaccines for people and stuff like that, and then you're buying media up for them to do studies with the bend of that thing that Bill Gates invested in. So he's making a thing and he's paying these news agencies to say that thing is good, essentially, and then the cycle continues. Now, from a capitalist point of view, this isn't, I don't know, would this be considered crony capitalism? Because he's not really tampering with politics at all in this case. He's just buying up news media and opinions.
Yeah, this is what should, in a normally free market, sink anyone's reputation. Any media company want to take this money. I mean, this could be a good sign, by the way, that A, he's desperate enough to do this, and B, that we know about it. and that the media is desperate enough to take that money because they know they're losing viewers. So maybe this is the beginning of the end.
Right. It definitely wasn't CNN
because,
reporting on this thing. It wasn't one of these actual outlets. It was, independent journalists, or as I like to call them, journalists.
Yeah, right. What we used to think.
The only ones left.
Yeah. I'm starting to think, too, this could be in response to that awkward interview where he was asked a question he wasn't expecting, and you could see him squirm and be like, well, obviously, he's dead. Yeah. Maybe that was his aha moment of, oh, shit, I need to buy these people up.
Well, I mean, I'm sure this is ongoing. I'm sure this isn't just within the last week or whatever. So, I leaned more towards that's why his response was so awkward, because he was caught that off guard. He was like, I gave you guys a shit ton of money. And he was why are you talking about Epstein right now?
Like, has no one told her
who
I am? Do you know who I am?
Yep. So there's that. There's that on Gates. That keep an eye on him as you do, and we'll be doing the same.
The world today has 6.8 billion people. Now, if we do a really great job, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Gates Watch.
Now,
it makes me cringe every time I hear it, dude.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you, dude? Who the fuck?
Not a scientist, not a doctor. Just
just
throwing that out there. Keep that in mind when you see him giving all this expert advice on science and doctor stuff. Now we do have to get into the topics of the day, which we're going to lead into the actual thing, but there's some groundwork to be laid first. Do you know about the Black Parade, Jack Casey?
Well, I've heard enough by now. I was going to try and maintain. I went through a 2 or 3 day period after the Rittenhouse verdict where I was like, all right, we got to win for self-defense. I'm just going to enjoy some days off.
Just gonna coast until the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, right?
Exactly, right into the next one, right? And then, from you and others started catching wind of this thing, and I know the gist now, the basic overall summary, but
Gotcha. Well, we're going to get into that. Before we do, I have noticed in covering like the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and all that stuff, the Ahmaud Arbery trial was going on at the same time. Are you familiar with the Ahmaud Arbery trial?
I think so. There were quite a few I was reading about it once, and I can't remember if I'm mixing some up. But yeah, I'm sure as you elaborate, I'll probably recognize what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know a ton about this. For me, like I've heard a bunch of people giving criticism, like why are people spending so much time on the Kyle Rittenhouse case and nobody's talking about the Ahmaud Arbery case? And my reason is because, like, I haven't dug into it extensively. I'm going to play just a 3.5 minute breakdown of what the case was, and if this is accurate information, then I was just under the impression that these guys were guilty anyway. So I was like, it's not that big a. I mean, it's a tragic loss that somebody got shot stupidly, but I'm open to being proven wrong here, but it seemed to me like these guys are definitely guilty. But we'll watch this little clip here to get people up to speed, because I do think it is important to talk about and to, this was a tragic incident that happened to this guy. I don't know if he did anything outside of what they're saying here to lead to this, but it is important to know at least what's going on and stuff. So when people bring these things up, you can say, I do know about that. And we'll talk some more.
Minutes before Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed in Brunswick, Georgia, a home security camera caught him walking down Satilla Drive. The time on the security camera appears to be wrong. Police reports and 911 calls suggest it was just after 1 p.m. on Sunday, February 23rd. Arbery was about 2 miles from home. He stops briefly in front of a house under construction across the street and then goes inside. Someone is watching. At 1:08 p.m., the man calls 911 to report a trespasser.
There's a guy in the house right now. Is the house under construction?
Security footage from inside the house under construction shows Arbery walking around briefly, and then he walks back out.
There he goes right now. He's running down the street.
By this time, other neighbors are on alert.
He's been caught on the camera a bunch before. Black guy, white t-shirt.
Police reports say there had been an ongoing issue of trespassing in the house under construction. Past security videos show people, including children, going in and out of the property.
I'm going to speed this up for a bit, just for time's sake. I'm not trying to lessen anything here, but 3.5 minutes is a long time. I'll slow it down once we get to the more important stuff here, but here we go.
different days. And just days before Arbery's shooting on February 11th, a text message saying Travis McMichael had confronted one of the trespassers. So today, they were on alert. The security footage shows Arbery leave the house under construction and run down the street. He runs past 230 Satilla Drive towards Burford Drive. Gregory McMichael sees him and thinks he recognizes him from the other day. Gregory told police that he ran inside his house and told his son, Travis, the guy is running down the street. Let's go. Gregory grabs a pistol and Travis grabs his shotgun. In police,
That's a problem, obviously. So if this is difficult to follow, basically, there's this house that's under construction. Some people were going in and out over the course of, I don't know, days or weeks, and Ahmaud Arbery had been seen there, allegedly at least one time before, or no, 2 times before the incident. It sounds like the day before the incident, he was there and confronted by this McMichael guy who, told him, I would imagine, said, you're not supposed to be in here, obviously. But there was nothing stolen or anything, to my understanding, by Arbery.
interviews, the McMichaels say they didn't know if the man was armed or not.
And so this third time, they're like, hey, that guy is running away, and we've seen him here before. And they grab their guns and start to chase him, which is, red flag number 1, obviously.
So father and son get in a white truck and follow Arbery. There's no public video showing what happened next. But Gregory later told police they followed Arbery down Satilla Drive toward Burford Drive. They followed Arbery down Burford and tried to cut him off. Arbery turned around and started running back towards Satilla Drive. At this point, another neighbor, William Roddy Bryan, joins in the chase.
Oof.
The police report says Roddy Bryan tried to stop Arbery and block him in. The chase continues around the neighborhood for a few minutes.
Not a good look.
At some point, Roddy starts recording on his cell phone. We see him.
So I will go and slow this down. So what's happening there for people who aren't watching the visuals, 2 trucks are like cornering this guy. They're like chasing him. One guy's in a truck and he's Arbery runs around to the back of it. This other truck comes up and is backed up to him. So they've got him like in between their 2 trucks and he runs around and he's taken off down the road.
Following Arbery around the trees. The McMichaels are stopped just ahead of Arbery. The 25-year-old is now trapped between the 2 cars and the 3 men. While Roddy adjusts the camera, we hear shouting in the background. Gregory McMichael had called 911 from the bed of the truck, and Travis was now outside of the truck with his shotgun in hand. The video shows Arbery going around the right side of the truck to avoid Travis. Travis moves and meets Arbery in front of the truck.
Hello?
The 911 call goes dead. Travis shoots Arbery, and we see the 2 of them struggling towards the left side of the vehicle. Arbery and Travis struggle with the gun out of the frame. We hear the second gunshot and a plume of smoke. The 2 struggle back into frame. We hear a third gunshot before Arbery collapses. Travis McMichael later told officers, quote, if Arbery would have stopped, this wouldn't have happened.
Ooh, that's a bad quote there. If he had stopped, this wouldn't have happened. If you hadn't chased him down,
right?
this wouldn't have happened. Yeah. So this is not good, obviously. And like I said, my opinion was these guys, it seems like they're guilty. There might be some evidence I'm missing here, but it seems like they didn't like that this guy was going into their place and he was trespassing. Something should have happened, but they handled it all the poorest way possible by getting their guns and chasing him down and then shooting him. The guy ran away from them multiple times, and, if he's not a threat to you, you definitely don't have the right to, hunt him down and kill him. But, the most important part here is, the most important part here is they were all found guilty. So, can we move on?
Okay. Yeah, okay, exactly. Another case of where what should have happened with the justice system, that case sounds like did. Because, and it goes to show that, we obviously talk about the police and police brutality, but it goes to show that, with or without uniforms on, if human beings are being the aggressor and taking extremes, we know if these guys had been cops in uniform too and had done this, we would have been, saying, yeah, this is fucked up. So it shows that even a private citizen can be just as stupid and aggressive and lead to needless death as, the cops can. So
yeah, if a cop was chasing down Ahmaud Arbery for trespassing or something, they should be chasing him down and trying to stop him, but they shouldn't be shooting him if he's unarmed or whatever, unless there's a threat. But these guys obviously aren't cops and didn't even have the legal right to chase him down. Like they're trying to do a citizen's arrest, and of course they're spinning this into, this is like Kyle Rittenhouse taking the law into his own hands and yada yada. It's like, no, Kyle wasn't chasing anybody down. Kyle was being chased down by guys.
Yeah, he was the one running. Yeah,
who just happened to be real white.
Yeah, Yeah, and it shows. People point out too how they're like, oh, but these things don't get covered as much, and it's like, or in other cases where self-defense is, and it's like, is that because everyone's being racist, or is it because the media is trying to only highlight the things to try and push their narrative of, look, white guy uses gun, and in their case they said on black people, and it was like, no, you didn't. It's like there's a reason they highlight some cases over others and are trying to push whatever they can to.
And with this Ahmaud Arbery one, it's the same with like they're trying to make it out to be this racist thing because some white guys killed a black guy. That still doesn't prove that these white guys were doing anything racist. Like, it's a tragedy that he died, and they were complete scumbags, obviously, but that doesn't prove that they were like, well, it's a black guy doing it, so I'm gonna go hunt him down and kill him.
Yeah, it's fucked up and sad with or without the racial motives behind it, and it's wrong regardless. Like the killing of people is always wrong,
right?
Whether or not there was a racial motive there, I don't know.
Racist murderers should be locked up forever, and so should not racist murderers. All the murderers should be locked up forever.
Yeah, it's the murder part.
Right.
It's this worst part. But to be fair, if people have a racial motive to then commit these murder, it does make sense that there are cases where people, that plays a factor. But it's something about when the media is pushing it and they're the ones trying to highlight this, and they're not doing it for noble reasons because of all the cases they ignore where this or that happens with race stuff. It's clear their goal is division. Yeah, it's not to help people of any color. So
yeah. So that one, obviously a tragedy, and they might very well be racist. You might be able to prove that they're racists. I don't know, but as far as I can see in the quick evidence or whatever, it was just a tragic accident, or not accident. It was a tragic murder, and these guys hunted down a guy and killed him. But speaking of hunting down people and killing them and bad takes on things and the media's coverage of bullshit, we got to talk a little bit more about the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff because Stephen Colbert had this fun little quip to say about Kyle Rittenhouse. Did you happen to hear this?
No.
Accused of crossing state.
Now you'll notice he doesn't say he crossed state lines with a gun. They're getting more careful in their deception. But let's see him tiptoe through the landmines.
Big news on Friday was that after being accused of crossing state lines, killing 2 people, and wounding another last year during a Black Lives Matter protest, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted on all counts. Okay. Cards on the table. I'm not a legal expert, so I can't tell you whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse broke the law. But I can tell you this. If he didn't break the law, we should change the law.
I just can't believe even a year later, people are this willfully ignorant and lazy about.
It's not lazy. You can't call this laziness anymore.
No, he's playing. He's on purpose. I mean, the people who believe him. Yeah,
sure.
The people who the media they're playing their game and doubling down, but that people still are booing at that and don't. This is exactly why I'm writing the stuff I'm writing, because I need to make fun of it all because I have so much anger about it. I'm like, I need to just make fun of the hypocrisy and the zombiness and the it's so dangerously ignorant.
Oh, it gets worse.
Explain it.
It gets more dangerously ignorant. Here's Whoopi Goldberg's take. Oh, is it gonna play? Come on now. Whoopi, come on. I'm probably gonna have to watch a stupid ad. This is FoxNews.com, so you know it's legit. It's not going to play. All right, Whoopi. Hang in there. Hang in there. It was going to be such a smooth transition.
In the meantime, by the way, on my visual, I don't know if I can see the newer stuff you're playing. I still have something else up. I don't know if it's my connection or something, but I'm glad you can see and hear me.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, well, it was playing. What the hell is happening here?
But I can hear it.
What is your website, Fox? I don't want to open the image. I want to play the video.
play image.
What is happening? Holy shit.
You could do an impersonation of her.
She said
I'm
he's
sure
a
that
murderer.
would go well.
She called him a murderer.
Yeah.
She said he was acquitted,
Yeah.
but he's a murderer.
She
disagrees wholeheartedly and thinks that Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer. And yeah, it's the problem with our country.
I'm out of patience for the people who are this willfully ignorant to believe what people like her and others are saying. And it's weird because you could still push your overall narrative without just being so just stupidly wrong about the facts, information on the ground. Like, I don't know why they want to latch onto this as the thing, but it's working, I guess. A lot of people seem to buy it. So
CNN's on board too. Their latest headline: "There's nothing more frightening in America today than an angry white man." I'm sure this is all gonna help really well with cooling the racial tensions, putting Kyle Rittenhouse in there, of course, and of course this is all. What's funny? Okay, I can't get ahead of myself. We got to talk about the thing, the parade, because this all kind of plays into it. But CNN, this is Fox News covering CNN covering. So I'm covering Fox covering CNN covering bullshit. But Fox says a CNN article declares there's nothing more frightening than an angry white man after blah, blah, blah. So I pulled this up because I know they're going to pull out a bunch of quotes and stuff. The angry white man article is like forever and a day long, and I read about half of it and fell asleep because it's all the same thing. But the specter,
sleepy white man.
Yeah, there's okay. They say it's not okay. Let me start up here. The specter of the angry black man has been evoked in politics and popular culture to convince white folks. Now this is them quoting the CNN article, just so you guys know. This is what CNN says to try and cool racial tensions. They're saying the angry white man stereotype is gone away now. Now we need to focus on the angry, or the, what did I say? Angry black man stereotype is gone. Now we need to fear the angry white man is essentially what the entire thing is saying. But bad black man is coming to get them and their daughters. But I've watched 3 separate trials about white male violence unfold across the U.S. these past few weeks. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial, which was a white guy killing 2 white guys. Racial? I don't think so. But it's important to note the FBI was given Kyle's phone. He gave it to them willingly. They found nothing about race. They found as far as we know, no memes, no jokes, nothing about race. Kyle Rittenhouse is less of a racist than probably 99% of the people in the world because he wasn't even sharing jokes or any shit.
Yeah. It's this little, this is a guy who, maybe he had some views we wouldn't agree with about, like, cops and stuff. Who knows? But it's like, it's so weird. It's so weird how they want to focus on the race of things and the division and rather than just murder. Murder is colorblind. It's bad. I mean, and it backfires because if you keep highlighting one group or one, exterior thing to focus on about each incident, it backfires too, because then when the team you're on or whatever, or the groups you care about, whatever, like, then when they do something, guess what? That same methodology can be applied in reverse. So it's like, why are you playing this game? Right. Why? You're just going to hurt yourself.
I like this. It's not the radical Islamic terrorist that I fear most, nor is it the brown immigrant or the fiery Black Lives Matter protester or whatever the latest boogeyman is that some politician, I'm guessing they were going for the plural, but thank you, CNN. Some politician tells me, or no, I guess not, tells me I should read. Man, I'm doing okay. It's encountering an armed white man in public who has been inspired by the white men on trial in these 3 cases. So they're saying it's not the fiery Black Lives Matter protester. Now, ironic, isn't it, that they're bringing up the fiery Black Lives Matter protester that we're not supposed to be concerned about? That was the only reason Kyle ever was in the place that he was in. He was there to protect people against the fiery Black Lives Matter protesters, including Joseph Rosenbaum and the other 2.
everything about that case, it's almost like it's poetic how perfectly all the details of that incident counters everything they're saying. He's there to protect a minority-owned business. He's like helping people doing stuff. He's the people who attacked him.
He traveled less of
a
distance than Joseph Rosenbaum to get there.
It's
he
like
crossed
and it's
fewer
all been covered.
state lines, and Grosskreutz had a gun, but whatever. This is definitely about racism. And the one guy was yelling the N-word at him over and over and saying he was going to cut his heart out if he caught him tonight. He was going to kill him, and shouting the N-word at him. These are your BLM heroes now for some reason.
I know, and that's what's even more insulting. It's like why would you want to paint your own cause and movement with these people as your it's just and I'm out of patience for it because again, the facts have been there from the beginning. The video's been there since the night of. No one bothered to click play. It's like it's easy. Most information we're talking about now was pretty much available within the first week. You know, a lot of it, and everything that came out since.
I mean, the video footage was available like the next day, and it was.
I was watching the night of.
Yeah, it was pretty clear what happened.
Yeah, and I knew they were going to try and spin it one way, and I on social media I was like defending Kyle and explaining what I could see from the footage that was available, and was saying things like obviously if new stuff comes out to be against that, sure, but like what I'm seeing now is this, and sure enough, the morning headlines were already jumping on. So it does show that their goal is to push their agenda, no matter, and they'll grab whatever incident they need to keep doing that. And I just don't know why there's so many useful idiots who I guess are so married to the narrative that they'll even lie themselves or other people about it. And I'm out of patience for it.
It's divide and conquer.
Speaking as an angry white man, I'm fucking mad about it.
I am terrified of you right now, quite frankly.
Everyone.
Zen1 AZ says, so tired of this divide and conquer tactic. And that's exactly what it is, as we say on here all the time. Like, my point here, and as we're finally about to talk about the thing that I keep saying we're going to talk about, this parade thing. As we talk about this, like I want people to understand what's going on here. I don't want to boost any tension or anything between racial stuff. I just want to point out what they are and aren't reporting on, and I think it becomes pretty obvious like what the narrative is and what they're trying to convince you is the world, and it's just not. It has been in as long as I can remember when it comes to CNN. Things aren't what they say they are. So for those of you that haven't heard, we're going to go through this step by step with some of CNN's earlier reporting to, well, I guess actually this is CNN yesterday. Okay, never mind. We're going to look at a few different layers of this and how it's been being reported on. But there was a tragic accident, as some of them like to call it, where a accidentally plowed an SUV through a bunch of people who were having a peaceful, not a protest even, they were having a parade, a Christmas parade. And so according to CNN, at least 5 killed after SUV plows into Wisconsin holiday parade. It's funny. It's just an SUV that plows through Wisconsin holiday parade, but Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist murderer. Very vague.
Kill people.
Right. Very vague headlines here, but we'll see what they've got. Wow. So this is in Waukesha County District. The county district attorney says additional charges may be considered at a later time. So they've got a bunch of updates here, and they still say very little. But vigil, this is 6:13 p.m. on November 22nd. Vigil held in honor of them. 5:53. Grandmother of 3 identified as victim of the accident. I would say terrorist attack, but we'll get to that. 9:15 a.m. the next day, court records show suspect in Waukesha parade incident was out on bail. It's this man here, Mr. Darrell Brooks. We'll learn more about him in a moment. He was out on $1,000 bail earlier this month, according to court records. $1,000 is all it took to get him out. Do you know what he did? He just ran over his baby mama with his car last week and got out on $1,000 bail after so. But I'm sure it's just a coincidence. It must be a faulty SUV. Officers observed tire tracks on her left pant leg, the criminal complaint claims. Now, suspect in Waukesha parade incident will have initial court appearance on Tuesday. Now, what's interesting in these is you'll notice that they keep saying, if you dig deeper, they keep saying things like, we don't think that this was a terrorist attack. We like, they won't say what it is, but they'll say that it definitely wasn't a terrorist attack. And why do they keep specifying? I wonder. I mean, what?
Yeah.
So a couple of the theories are this man was involved in a stabbing earlier during the day, like he was in a knife fight and he was fleeing that scene, which that doesn't really justify it. But even if he was fleeing another crime scene, why would he drive in the most populated part of town where everybody is if he's trying to get away?
Yeah.
How does that make sense? Or
and once you've realized that's where you are, why would you just try and back out rather than, I'll just keep going?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, what's interesting is it also is there's a time breakdown of this, and there was 4 or 5 minutes in between him being seen somewhere half a block away or something, and then him running through the people, and apparently he was stopped by a cop, and the cop pounded on his hood to stop, and then went over and was pounding on his window, his driver's side window, to stop. So there was enough time. It wasn't like he was out of control, just driving.
Right.
He stopped,
just made a wrong turn,
and then he decided to go much faster all of a sudden in the direction of all the innocent people parading. I keep wanting to say protesting, but
yeah,
here we are.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they consider that a protest to be celebrating Christmas. I don't know.
Right. Probably these days. They said Christmas, not happy holidays, so it's a protest.
These angry white Christmas celebrators angrily cheering for Santa.
Right.
It's horrible. It's sad, and it's one of those things that could the news just at least focus on the horrible sadness of it instead of how can we try to shield this from being some weird narrative. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
We've got more weird narrative. It gets better.
Okay.
But we're going to start with this little clip from CNN. This is just their earlier reporting on it. I think it's I can't see the date on it.
This morning, police are working on investigating why this happened. They still have a lot of the downtown historic core closed off this morning as they investigate. We are over by Main Street where the parade route was. We're standing about 3 blocks west of where the red SUV initially hit the first group of people. We can see police markings on the ground, people's belongings still strewn across the street. We're going to show you some video of what happened, but just a warning to our viewers that this can be very disturbing to watch.
A Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin turned deadly after an SUV plowed into the crowd Sunday afternoon.
There's a car going westbound pushing the freight goes on a red on escape.
Watch from another angle as the red vehicle speeds down the street, barely missing a child wearing a pink coat.
There were a lot of screams, and we almost thought maybe it was Santa, but it was a red SUV, and it hit a lot of people.
This disturbing video.
Santa. It was Santa. She said we thought it might be Santa. Like they thought it was all planned for another. Which your brain would wouldn't go toward.
Is this
is
part
a
of it?
terrorist attack in the middle of a parade. Nobody's expecting that, obviously. But
yeah, I get it. Yeah, a moment of shock there.
Yeah, so things spice up a little bit over at CBS News, where they say suspect intentionally plowed SUV into Wisconsin holiday parade. And here's the report on that.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to begin tonight in Waukesha, Wisconsin, a community reeling in grief following a horrific attack at its annual Christmas parade. There's a vigil being held tonight in close-knit Milwaukee suburb for the victims of the rampage. Families and community leaders struggling to make sense of what happened. 5 people were killed and nearly 50 others injured when a man plowed his SUV through a barricade and drove along the Christmas parade route. In a few terrifying moments, the joyous event shockingly transformed into chaos. The dead range in age from 52 to 81 years old, and they include 4 members of Milwaukee's Dancing Grannies.
No!
Many children are also among the wounded. And
don't fuck with the Dancing Grannies, man. The Dancing Grannies, I mean, they're legendary, I would imagine, in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Or they were.
Yeah.
And I must make note that Spike Cohen posted yesterday, don't make jokes about this, so Sorry, Spike.
Oh, well.
We're
here to make those better things. It doesn't mean we don't give a shit about the horrors that befall innocent victims. It's horrible. But what else can we do in the face of tragedy but try to laugh at the insanity of the world a bit and
Are fighting for their lives tonight. We learned today that the driver, now facing intentional homicide charges, was out on bond after he allegedly punched the mother of his child and intentionally ran her over with the same vehicle at a Milwaukee gas station earlier this month. We have team coverage of this tragedy, beginning with CBS's Nancy.
So he punched his gal, who I think was pregnant, punched her in the face and tried running her, or did run her over at a gas station to where she had tire marks on her legs. Just happened a week before. This guy's out on only $1,000 bond. He ran her over, and then he's out on $1,000 bond. And what does he do? Shocking, Judge. Thank you for
runs more people over. Yeah. Jesus.
Now, what do you think about bond and bail and all that? Because I'm like, I don't want somebody like Kyle Rittenhouse to have to sit in jail for a year before trial just because of defending himself if he's not a threat. But this guy was clearly a threat. Right. And if he's too much of a threat to be let back out on nothing, what's $1,000? Like, so if you pay us enough money, even let's say $5 million, which I think is his current bail, because for some reason he has another bail now, but how much money does it take to release a criminal or a murderer back out onto the streets? Oh, $5 million or $1,000, just depending on how the judge is feeling.
Yeah, it's a weird system, and it's especially egregious when there's people who've done way less, like simple things, and they're being held prisoner until with the bail stuff, and
for having a little bit of weed in the wrong state.
Exactly.
You'll be held longer than a guy who runs over his girl.
Right. It's the guy who's like, okay, this one we might want to keep off the street, at least till we can figure out exactly, the guilt and all that. I mean, yeah, it's clown world, man. I don't.
You're right to be speechless. You are correct.
It's speechless. Yeah. It's just, and it's so dumb. And like, well, like he said, the fact that they're, trying to, I imagine, ignore some of the details because they're worried about their narratives. It's like,
notice how few details you've heard about this guy so far?
Yeah.
It was a guy who did a thing. And I'm not even saying because he was black. Like, I don't care if he was white and he did the same thing.
It'd be just as weird and annoying to be just like back in the day, I'm sure, the news would report on something and be like, and it was a black guy or whatever, like wink, wink. And they would like kind of insinuate racial things by overly mentioning some but not others, depending on the thing. Where now it's like reverse. It's like, okay, they're trying to push something. So
we're gonna get to what those other things are in a moment, and they have to do with him being black, but it's not that he is black. But this is from Yahoo News, and they say what we know about the Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy. What things do we know about this parade tragedy? The incident, a driver in a red SUV plowed through a parade. Yep, we know that. The suspect has been charged with crimes. Yes, we know that. The victim, 62 injured and 6 fatal. Yeah, we know that. Officer fired at the vehicle. Yeah, the officer haven't mentioned, the officer shot at the vehicle after the guy sped off, and which I don't know if that's the best idea for a cop to do either, firing basically into a crowd. Thankfully, nobody was shot by the retard.
I'm sure you hit the car or the tires.
Yeah. I don't know. How to help. Okay. Vigils, gatherings planned. Waukesha schools canceled. Yada, yada. All this stuff. Not any mention of certain things that we still haven't talked about yet, but they are important things. I'm gonna keep teasing it, but we do have some things that are of importance that the media doesn't want us to talk about, and YouTube probably won't like me talking about. But before that, we'll get Spike Cohen's take on this from RT.
Well, some Americans had assumed a link maybe between the incident and the high-profile case of Kyle Rittenhouse. Both, of course, took place in the same state, Wisconsin, and there's considerable anger over the Rittenhouse verdict. He was recently acquitted of homicide after shooting 2 people dead at a racial justice rally. However, Democratic Party staff caught uproar after saying the car ramming was karma for a Wisconsin court having acquitted Rittenhouse.
Karma! Mary Lemansky, I'm not sure who that is, but she posted, I'm sad anytime anyone dies. I just believe in karma. And this came around quick on the citizens of Wisconsin. She's trying to say that Wisconsiners deserve this because of Kyle Rittenhouse's innocence. We'll continue.
Well, those comments.
Man, I thought it was speeches before. Go on.
Outrage among Republicans, especially.
I'm utterly disgusted that a leader of the DuPage Democratic Party, Mary Lemansky, would have so little compassion and decency to make light of the tragedy and to say Wisconsin citizens, even the children, in some way deserved what happened to them.
No matter your party affiliation right now, all of our thoughts and prayers need to be with those families who lost loved ones and those who are hospitalized that they recover from their injuries. By trying to link one issue to this senseless loss of life during a Christmas parade shows how out of touch and single-issued some people can be.
Agreed. I agree that people trying to make this a political thing. But hold on. There's more.
Yeah. Mary Lemansky was fired over her tweets with another Democratic Party official calling the post callous and reprehensible. We spoke with Spike Cohen, a 2020 vice presidential candidate from the Libertarian Party. He says the only connection between these two incidents is that they both happened in Wisconsin.
Nice.
Whatever point she thought she was making, it was not a point to make. It is not comparable to what happened with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation in the first place. And even if it was in the midst of the massive human suffering that's happening after this attack, for her to go on and try to make some snarky comment about it, I think is disgusting. For anyone to look at a tragedy like the Waukesha truck mauling that happened, and try to score political points or make a snarky joke about it, I think that it underscores a great problem with the toxic nature of the political discourse that is increasing in this country. The problem is that you have this increasing division in the country and possibly even worldwide right now, where anytime something happens, whether it's good or bad, people immediately try to figure out how to dissect it and make some kind of comment, usually a sarcastic comment, to try to dunk on the other side. There shouldn't be an other side on this.
So I agree with Spike fully and completely, of course.
Spike.
Yes, thank you, Spike.
Yeah. That's awesome. He's usually on point as usual, but just on that in particular, to just be like, nope, we're not having a single second of that. Yeah.
Right. I agree with him that what the lady said was complete and utter bullshit. And the thing that I keep hinting at here is that it's not as cut and like Spike says, this has nothing to do with he didn't straight up, they made it sound like when they quoted him, they made it sound like he was saying this has nothing to do with Kenosha. He didn't really say that. He said this shouldn't be used to score political points. That doesn't mean this doesn't have anything to do with Kenosha. And that's really the big issue that I take with all of this media coverage, is that they haven't pointed out this thing happened 2 days after the Kyle Rittenhouse thing in the same area by a guy who just happens, any ideas who he, what organizations he might have been linked to?
Well, I can guess just based on where you're going. Wow.
Waukesha tragedy. Andy No links suspect to BLM. Internet asks proof of claims. So we're going to go through this as well. Andy No, who is, I think, the current head guy over at the Post Millennial, if I'm understanding correctly. A bunch of people hate this guy. They call him alt-right. From my understanding, it's just for the same reasons that some people call me alt-right, and it's because he's digging into things that they, like this, that they don't want people talking about because it doesn't work with their narrative great. But I could be wrong. If you have some dirt on Andy No, I'm all for it. But from what I've seen of him, he goes out and does independent journalism and gets the crap kicked out of him by Antifa a lot. So that's that. But Andy No came out with this string of tweets, and the biggest criticism that people had was he kept saying things like linking this guy to BLM and saying that he found posts of this guy, talking about anti-white hate stuff. And they wrote this entire article here on meaw.com. I don't know what that is, but this article was the first one that came up for me, and it just says it mostly focuses on the things that Andy said, and also the fact that Andy didn't have a follow-up. Unfortunately for them, he does have a follow-up, and we'll get to that in a moment because it's pretty bad. But Andy No says, the man in custody over the mass casualty incident at the Waukesha Wisconsin Christmas parade has posts on his social media in support of BLM causes, George Floyd, and black nationalism. He also has a post about how to get away with running people over in the street. Now, that last part, I don't think he's all that honest on, quite frankly, and we'll talk about why in a moment. But
okay.
Yeah, he's not entirely wrong, but it's a little selective in my opinion. Now, they said all these people are like calling out Andy, and it was a news article that Andy posted some flagrant remarks but didn't post the evidence of it, so I went and did a little looking, and it looks like he posted a lot of evidence to me, but who knows if they'll ever go back and change that. A witness speaking, this is from Andy Knows Twitter, a witness speaking live on air shortly after the deadly Waukesha, Wisconsin incident gives a driver description that matches. The host becomes very uncomfortable. A lot of this stuff is just the updates as it was going, as he was revealing stuff, but let's see if this is worth a watch. Oh, it's not going to play because it's Twitter. Screw it. We'll keep going. But he posts a lot of things about this guy. This was the one that he said was telling them to run them over and keep going. This is actually a quote from a different guy. So Math Boy Fly is allegedly this man, the driver's his Facebook handle or Twitter handle. It looks like Facebook. But so this is the one that I said I think is selective editing, because here it says, it's a quote from J.M. Roth saying run them over, keep the traffic flowing, blah, blah, blah. And Math Boy Fly is clearly calling him out for it. So saying that he posted that as instructions.
So from the reverse end. Yeah. Spinning it to try and push. Yeah.
Right, which I think was really dumb of Andy to post, at least without context, because it's not great that he has stuff about this there either, because he could be like, well, they said that, so that could lead him to thinking, oh, I'll get away with it or whatever. But he's not like, it's not like what Andy made it sound like, which seemed to me he posted something about how to get away with running people over. He didn't. He just got away with running people over at least once. But I'm
glad you could see and look into to figure out that nuance, because that is
it's important.
And it's weird that you're a better journalist by actually trying to care about these little details and nuances and investigate them when you can, because whether it's coming from the right or the left or whoever, if they're going to take stuff and shove their exact version of whatever into it, if you just look at the information, there's plenty of information to choose from to figure out if there is a racial motive or other stuff going on. It's like,
oh, trust me, there's plenty more. There's plenty more that I'm not giving this guy the pass just because the first one didn't.
Didn't look
great,
right.
But,
no. Just that we got to be truthful and fair about all of it at the same time.
Right. And each one of these things in particular isn't necessarily condemning or whatever, but it's like he does have things like this cartoon here that's on White Privilege 101 and how white guys just get away with anything, and black guys getting gun drawn on them by the cops. Ironic, isn't it, that our man here ran over a bunch of people, fled from the cops, and as we're going to find out, went knocking on people's doors trying to hide, and then the cops took him in, and guess who didn't get shot? Not that I wanted him to get shot, but doesn't that kind of throw your narrative out the window that like black men all get shot, but this guy ran over he ran over like 50 people and killed 5 to 10 or whatever, and he's still alive to talk about it. Seems a little interesting. I don't know. But he's got some George Floyd stuff, which I don't think is enough. Like that's not
right.
That does show that he has support for the BLM stuff and all that, and he has like hashtag BLM and all that. Or no, I guess this is whatever. He does support BLM stuff, okay? And we have more evidence of that, but that doesn't necessarily prove any ill intent or whatever. He had like a BLM fruit thing that has a BLM power fist on it. He had, this was a pretty bad one. Digging into some things by a certain German man from history. And Math Boy in the comments is saying, real game right here, 100. I mean, you can look into that and, read it for yourself. I'm not going to read it on YouTube. But
well, I was going to say, my visual's blocked right now. So, if you're showing me something visually, I can't
sure.
see it at the moment.
So it was a quote from Hitler that was basically about real Jews and
I can
fake
imagine.
Jews and yada yada. And I'm pretty sure that quote from Hitler isn't even from Hitler. I think it's entirely made up, but this guy was showing support of that. So, of course, that's being labeled as anti-Semitic. Yeah, it's not a great look. And after all this, of course, the media comes out immediately saying how big-time right-wing trolls Andy Ngo and Tim Pool tied to Waukesha killings to Black Lives Matter. So they're immediately coming out on the defense saying Andy Ngo and Tim Pool are talking about this guy, having involvement in Black Lives Matter, having some racially uncomfortable stuff on his profile. And they're immediately saying that Tim Pool is a right-wing extremist, essentially, for even suggesting that this has anything to do with Black Lives Matter 2 days after Kyle Rittenhouse gets off. So...
and it's like, to be fair, it's like we don't know exactly yet, but in Kyle's case, they were making up stuff to show motives and things, whereas in this, you have information and real stuff to connect the dots if you want. And
right.
And and again, like we said, it's the murder part we care about most, but it's just it's just...
They've declared it intentional. They're refusing to say that it is an act of terrorism or even hint about it. It's definitely not that.
Right.
But we have a guy who is in a certain group that likes to stir shit up, it seems like, who just had a case not go their way, and he's posting racially divisive stuff. And, even if it has nothing to do with race, even if it has nothing to do with BLM, it doesn't really matter that much, other than the fact that the media won't even address these allegations. But Kyle Rittenhouse is still being called a white supremacist murderer, even though none of it had anything to do with race, and he was found innocent. So
you have a defender and you have an aggressor, and then you took the defender and inserted motives and narratives that weren't there, and then you have this aggressor where there's some motives and narratives that could be found there, and you're going to shield and cover that. And why? Because and especially on the heels of that person saying it was karma. If people who support this kind of certain movements or things are saying that something like that could be karma and therefore justified, almost as though encouraging it or approving of it, it's no wonder that then that could be a motive. It's not extreme to make the dot connection and go, well, gee, if retaliation against random white people is okay, according to, some people, then it's not that crazy to think, what if this was a person who felt just like karma bitch? I mean, this could have been someone who was like,
this
and
how
many other people are going to read and listen to something she says or someone else says and go, yeah, maybe it is karma. Maybe I'll get in my car and do something. I mean, there's some actual instigating of violence there,
right. Yeah, there's a lot more instigating than Donald Trump saying peacefully protest and then people attacking the Capitol, I would say. But, so let me read a little bit of this. This comes from Yahoo News. Or no, this comes from, it's on Yahoo News, but it's originally from the Daily Beast. So, hours after a suspect was detained by the police in Waukesha after an SUV went careening into a Christmas parade, injured dozens of people and killing 5, far-right provocateurs went searching for a motive late Sunday night. In short order, they found a spurious of viral, ready, and inflammatory one, the Black Lives Matter movement. Shocking. Daryl Brooks, age 39, the alleged driver of the SUV, has a long rap sheet, including convictions for a slew of sexual crimes. Yeah, we'll get there. And violent offenses, per multiple reports. Brooks was out on bail awaiting charges after allegedly attempting to run over the mother of his child on Monday. Of his child, period. On Monday, the Milwaukee District Attorney described the $1,000 which has been assessed in the case as inappropriately low, obviously. Prior to the parade, Brooks had allegedly committed another unrelated act of domestic violence and then chose to leave the scene before the police arrived there. So they're saying that he was involved in another domestic violence thing. I'm guessing he was not the guilty party in that, obviously, and he was fleeing. He was fleeing from that because I guess his girlfriend, was she chasing him down through the parade streets? I don't know, but... though you go right on to the next paragraph, and it starts with, "For now, there are no indications of any additional motive for driving his SUV through the parade or any reason to label it domestic terrorism," like straight up just saying, do not even consider that this might be politically motivated. There's zero evidence.
Just providing cover. Why? They accuse one side of providing cover for this, and it's like, isn't it weird that the people you keep defending and covering for turn out to actually be the ones who have these violent
murderers and pedophiles
histories.
and rapists.
Yeah, rapists and all the. It's like, okay, do you see a like? And again, it's not that someone's background should necessarily dictate the case by case of what the incident is, right? Like, obviously, but it's just it's funny that I want to ask them what you've asked others before, which is, do you feel good about this? Do you feel good about this?
Right. They go on to say,
"Are you sure you're on the right side here? Do you see what you're defending? You're now
right.
You're on Team Karma, bitch. Like, what is this about?"
So they say there was. It's
Team
definitely not terrorism, but they go on to say, but a quick glance on social media would find an entirely different narrative playing out. Shocking. Scores of accounts, some with hundreds of thousands of followers, are either insinuating or stating outright Brooks was in some way a member of Black Lives Matter or had been inspired by the civil rights groups. Others suggested without evidence, don't worry, we'll get you. We've got some. This was the first shot in a looming race war, or that Brooks's alleged crimes were somehow an act of retribution days after Kyle Rittenhouse was declared not guilty. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a QAnon-friendly and vaccine-hesitant member of Congress, tweeted, after the widespread hateful reaction to the Rittenhouse verdict and dog whistle calls on radical BLM groups, or BLM ground troops by the mainstream media, Democrats, and even the President of the United States, we must ask if they incited the mass murder in Waukesha, Wisconsin. It is an interesting point. If, they spent the last however many years saying that Donald Trump incited a riot, we've got these people going out saying, well, the Kyle Rittenhouse case is just clear evidence that white people can get away with anything, and you are oppressed, and these are your enemies. Yeah. And then this happens. So,
Well, it's like, seriously, this is why I'm finally just willing to call all of them monsters, because they are creating the thing they claim to be afraid of.
Right.
They are doing, they are adding agitation and racially based stuff. It's like they clearly seem to want some kind of like race war or something. And like, these people are fucking monsters, man. The people, I mean, and even if some of them are just, useful idiots, it's why I'm trying to get people to see that they're creating the thing they're most afraid of. So like, the people who blindly believe what the media is telling them. It's like, do you not see how them pushing this narrative is what leads to these kind of reactions and counter reactions? And it's like,
they do.
And they know you'll watch.
They do. They do. They know what they're doing. The freaking Project Veritas video where they're talking about the COVID thing. They're like, they keep the numbers up there. When the ratings start to dip, they put the numbers back up there. They got to keep people fueled. And they're talking about our next big thing is going to be climate change, because we need to have fear sells. They say it all the time behind closed doors. They have to say it enough behind closed doors. It's not just the one time they've ever said it. It just happened to be caught on video by Project Veritas. Fear sells, and they know it, and that's what they're doing. Now, I did a little more digging, even beyond Andy No, and found TB Daily News. I don't know what this is, but it looks like it's mostly screen captures. And so you're not able to see when I screen share, Jack? Or are you?
For some reason, not right now, and I don't know if I have to just fix something. I could try re-entering, but I don't want to slow you down here. I can hear you just fine, but I just can't see.
Yeah, why don't you go out and hop back in? I'll play your video one more time while we wait for you.
Oh, yeah. Do it.
All right.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
And we're back. Thank you guys for
it's working.
Being patient with us. So this comes from tbdailynews.com, so you know it's legit, and these are the 8 facts you need to know about anti-white BLM Waukesha terrorist Darrell Brooks. So obviously, this guy has a bias as well. He's saying anti-white in the headline. But his bias is not entirely unfounded, I don't think. So we're going to go through some of these screen shares, some of the things that have been dug up on this guy. Let's see here. So this was shortly after, which is funny. They're saying yesterday in Waukesha. So all this information that we're about to go through here, this was findable for any journalist. I mean, this guy goes by Turtle Boy. I don't know who this guy is. He seems to be a Blue Lives Matter guy, so whatever. He might have his issues as well. But Turtle Boy apparently did some quicker digging than CNN has been able to do in the last half a week. But talks about yesterday in Waukesha, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff happened. Sharing tweets of 79-year-old, a 71-year-old, a 52-year-old, 52-year-old, 81-year-old. The dancing grannies will revenge. Let's see.
The poor grannies. Who's going after the grannies? That's what's really killing the grannies. It's not the that old COVID, that old Rona.
Well, it turns out he might have specifically an issue with white elderly people, which we'll get to. But there's a few clips here. This one's 30 seconds. I think this one's just coverage or footage of what happened. So if you've got kids in the room, you're a bad parent. But at this point, just be warned that some of this might be a little unsettling. So there's the one we've seen. Now, again, I will say something I just thought of. If this guy was as white as snow and was a BLM supporter posting the things that he's posting, I would have the exact same opinion as I do with him being black and having these opinions.
Agreed.
They're shitty takes, no matter what color you are, and he just happens to be of a darker persuasion. Now, this guy's a rapper. We have found out, the autistic internet warriors found out pretty quickly. This guy's a rapper. He's got music videos online of him, like, it's really bad. We'll probably watch a little bit of one here in a minute, but just talking about bitches and hoes and all that shit. And some of these are just whatever, dudes pointing his fingers at the camera like a dork.
Like we all do.
Yeah. So, number 1, Brooks is an aspiring rapper, of course, known as Math Boy Fly. It's nice. This main video is the one that I found yesterday, and now it seems to be gone. I don't know if it's taken off of YouTube entirely or if just this link, but it exists out there somewhere because the internet never forgets. But yeah, he's in this video. He's like just rapping about gang shit, basically, just your typical whatever rap stuff. But the red SUV is in this video as his ride, which is a little.
Oh man.
Yeah, there it is. Right behind him. the fateful SUV. Now, this is a clip from one of his songs that has a bunch of Malcolm X stuff. And one of the articles, I don't remember which one, but they say people who cover this are just covering this because it's anti-Trump song. It's like, I don't give a shit if he's anti-Trump song, whatever. And I also don't care if he quotes Malcolm X, depending on what it is. But But like. Yeah, it just all goes toward, does this guy have any motive or does he not? And it gets worse.
Yeah.
I think that it would take a whole lot of nerve for white people today to ask Negroes, do they hate them?
Yeah. Math Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the motivation. This that Malcolm X shit, revolutionary. This for my niggas in the can eating commissary. For every ghetto in America, I know they wait. This that fuck Donald Trump flow, and whoever hated. This for the streets. Just like Malcolm, nigga. This for the hood.
So he's talking about, taking a weapon and being a violent revolutionary.
Yeah.
Pretty clearly there. That's a start. I mean, nothing that would raise any red flags if you're digging into does this guy have any motive or anything like that. This one was just really bad here. It's called BLAS Business.
I may hit your chest, brain, what's the business? We be running through a block like what's the business? 100 shots for a op like what's the business? Gang, gang, phone jumping off the chain like what's the business?
All right, that's just bad, and I'm sure there might be something in there that's telling or whatever, but it's just your typical I'm a badass rapper guy thing. I don't think that proves that much. Number 2, Facebook removed his account MathBoyFly. So right after all of this stuff comes out, MathBoyFly just disappears right after people, like the internet is faster than Facebook, but Facebook, I would say, is, covering up some evidence here. If there is stuff like there seems to have been, it seems like, why would Facebook feel the need to pull that down? Any idea?
Yeah, it's it sounds like, as we know, Facebook likes to remove things that make them uncomfortable. So,
yeah,
not surprised.
It's true. Such things like this. MathBoyFly posted this article. White South Africans are preparing for the slaughter and removal of all whites within 5 years. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Now imagine if Kyle Rittenhouse, right. I don't want to play with the whataboutism game, but fuck you. What if Kyle Rittenhouse posted anything even remotely close to
right. Exactly.
I don't know.
And we would rightfully, if Kyle had posted things about we're gonna, kill oh my God, we would have been yeah, maybe this kid's a little sus, right? It's you can tell who's following their principles and their analysis when you just reverse the colors, the genders, the political teams, and when it's clear that someone is promoting aggression and violence and then commits that violence, and it's clear that they're the aggressor, even while it's okay, there it is,
Yeah.
Maybe this.
Now, this does say white South Africans are preparing. I don't know what this initial article was. It just doesn't sound great, but white South Africans are preparing for the slaughter and removal of all whites. I don't understand what that even means. I don't know South African culture, though. I know that, from what I hear, they're a pretty racist country to begin with. So it is also funny going into Thanksgiving that we're considered this evil racist country. It's point to one of these really good countries that don't have racism in them. Point to the ideal country where there's no people who think differently than you on the topic of race. We're not as bad as a lot of them, as probably most of them, because it seems like racism in other countries is much more widely accepted in Asian countries and African countries and stuff like that. It's just certain people think that they're better and they're quick to judge or stereotype or whatever.
And I point out to people, I'm if it's not that there aren't these racial things, and it's not there aren't people that still have these ugly, gross views, and it's not, obviously the problem is our willingness to, if anything, take the teeth out of any accusation or real situation where there is a racial motive in any direction, right? White on black, black on white, all the rest. It's if we keep bullshitting ourselves to push our agendas or whatever, then the times you really have a problem or where someone's racially motivated or there's something going on there, you've already lost your credibility. You can't deal with the actual perpetrators of, evil and violence if we're just gonna waste our time on everything else. So and
the evil violence are the people that the media that's covering up the fact that he has pictures like this where Martin Luther King is smiling down from heaven on a black man whipping white people in a cornfield. That's the evil
was his
shit
message
here. Right? That's what he was all about.
This is the point where, like I said with the stuff I'm writing, it's so self-parody at this point. And sometimes when you see some of these pictures or memes people make, coming out of this stuff, it's so absurd that you honestly can't tell. Is this serious? Are they making this and making the point they're trying to, or is this one of us who made this to make fun of what they thing. Like, is it one of our guys who did this to be funny?
If Chris Spangle posted this, I would laugh my ass off at it. If this guy, if I didn't know him, I'd be like, it's kind of funny because it's like dark humor or whatever.
It's so ironic.
But if Chris Spangle then went and drove over a bunch of people, I'd be like, or if Chris Spangle was, a few dozen shades darker than he is currently, and then he supported BLM and then went and ran over a bunch of white people in a white town supporting Christmas, which I don't know if I'm not saying all the victims were white. I have no idea. And I'm sure he didn't even know at the time. But when you think about, a Christmas parade in the Wisconsin areas, it's probably an awful lot of white people, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But stuff like this, white folks and 400 years of white folks Jesus and white folks Bible and white folks teaching, black folks lies about self-hate, black folks lies and self-hatred, and white folks practicing their white Christianity, beatings, rapes, and crucifying to oppress black people 400 years is why we have a race of brainwashed, the polite N-word, I suppose, the one that Joe Biden says flagrantly, brain damage is what he says. The fact that they put up with this for 400 years. I don't know. Do I have a blind spot where people are being enslaved and flogged? I mean, other than Kamala Harris keeping people in prison past their prison sentences to put out some fires for cheap labor, or keeping people on death row because it looks better on her record, a black guy, mind you, on death row to make her record look better. I don't see all this. Like, what is this referring to? And I'm genuinely curious if I have this mental blind spot where there's this terrible, like, white folks, Jesus and Bible and Christians and raping and beatings. What do these things have to do with each other in the year 2021? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what's tough too, because there's something where the right does, where they love to downplay the historical and real, and in many cases still kind of relevant, like, legacies of certain things that happen that they get squeamish about, right, in history looking at. But then, of course, right, the left wants to take people's real pain or things that, their parents or grandparents dealt with, take advantage of something that has a real root or can be a real, issue, and weaponize it into this, like, aggressive, increasing the racial tension shit. Like, it's so unhelpful to the people they claim to care about when obviously you see people trying to, like, think better about the world and what's the future going to look like? How can we live in that now and get to the place where we all are, this
guy's looking to the future. He says this could be us, but y'all scared, with a picture of Malcolm X and his homies holding guns strapped and looking out for their lives.
And like we said, it's like when Kyle it's like people are like, well, would you care if the first black's like, yeah, dude, you should have the same guns you want, dude, to defend yourself just as much from actual, like, attacking white supremacists if they were coming to your house. Like, obviously, and to take that and turn it into,
another post
let's go murder white people. It's like, no.
LAWS, which is an acronym for legally allowing white supremacy. Interesting. There's a cop car with a KKK hood on the top of it, because all cops are racist. There's all we got to do is stand up and it's game over. Now, this is a pretty sweet meme, but if it had nothing to do with race, I would like it more, which it seems like I'm not sure if this initially had something to do with race. This one looks kind of white, but this is this is still true, but just take race out of it. Like, this is class warfare. This is not racial warfare. None of us
I'm glad you said
care about race. This is class.
Yes, yeah, and this is the point I love to help show people is it's not that they're wrong to believe that at certain times different groups were allowed to oppress others or have these different levels of how everyone's getting fucked over somehow by the system and by the elites. But it's what the elites want is for you to be so focused on which one of us is the most abused and compete with each other for this, like, this thing, so that we keep our focus away from the people doing the oppressing of all of us, and if at
the
times
people who keep
pushing
focusing
racial,
on race and you guys need to be divided, you guys need to look at people and judge them by the color of their skin. That's what CNN wants. I would even say that's what Fox News wants. That's what MSNBC wants. That's what they keep talking about and trying to bait you into. Meanwhile, they're sitting in their lap of luxury. None of them care. None of them care that the cities are burning down until people start showing up at their door. These politicians, people show up their door and then they're like, we got to shut this down. We got to do something about this evil terrorism. It's like, the only time the government cares about you is when it's in their own benefit. Sometimes they accidentally help you, but the government doesn't love you, and it's not here to do your bidding. It is here to do its bidding, and sometimes you get some nice table scraps from them. But
take as a base assumption that they are trying to take advantage of you. They're lying to you constantly, as we see. They can take any seemingly virtuous cause and turn it into a monstrous, agenda, and it sucks because that does take away from the cases where you have people trying to do the right thing, and it's so that's what's so sinister about it, is when they're playing on your best intentions or your most noblest instincts to try and get you to go along with something that's horrific, but while you feel like you're the good guy, and that you're supporting this or that, and it's gross, and I hate it.
Speaking of gross, Math Boy Fly, and this is getting back to those grannies. Learned and taught behavior. So when we start back knocking white people TF out, I own wanna hear it. The old white people too. knock them TF out, period. So he maybe he was targeting the dancing grannies specifically because he wants to knock out old white people specifically here for some reason. Now there's other stuff here that we've already talked about. Black Lives Matter stuff, lots of Black Lives Matter stuff. And again, that only matters to the extent that, there might be some motive here. To say that there was no that there was no indication of motive, I think is the words that they used. No indication even of what the motive might be 2 days after.
Right.
Talking about, slavery, stolen homes, and blah, blah, blah. All of this. It keeps going.
And the hypocrisy, if they're going to zero in on and make up shit for, in the case of say Kyle or something, right? To ignore this, it's so hypocritical. And again, you switch the colors and names around. Imagine how disturbing this would be if the white guy had this whole list of it's just like, whoa.
As Kyle proved, you don't even have to have this list. You don't have to have anything that indicates even slightly that you're a white supremacist. You're just a white supremacist just because. Even if the other guys were the same color. And I like this one because he's calling out cops, which I'm no fan of cops, obviously, but
same, right? Like my libertarian instincts are just call out the people in power, the people with badges, right?
Yeah,
but that's race neutral.
So he says, beware violent street gangs, and then he's got typical gang member, gang colors, heavily armed, gang identifier, well organized. But it's motherfucker, isn't that what you're doing? Aren't you pretending to be a gang member in your music videos where you're talking about hoes and stuff? So are these bad things that you're pointing out about cops by calling them gang members, or are these good things? I'm not sure, but it's interesting.
Good point. Yeah.
Help Africa. It's in struggle. He's got some Malcolm X quotes. Africa. Okay, let me read this one. Help Africa in its struggle to free itself from Western domination. No matter where the black man is, he will never be respected until Africa is a world power. Okay. Instead of charging the killers, and he was calling out somebody for having an engagement party because they should have been doing activism or something. Kyle Rittenhouse, he posted there's some angry stuff about Kyle Rittenhouse. There were some people shouting. I don't know how this relates or if it does relate, but this was, I believe, outside the courtroom after the Rittenhouse trial. This is somebody's take on it.
This court, fuck the proceedings. If any of y'all think y'all finna go anywhere in this country and be around black people, go where the fuck black people are, or supporters of black people, and think you're the fucking police, you're gonna get fucked up. Like Kyle should have. Like he should have. He should be a fucking victim.
He was a fucking victim. That's our point, bud. So this to point out, the tensions are flaring, and you still got CNN and everybody acting like none of this exists. Like there could be possibly no motive or anything. We've got this. This is the same one. How big time right wingers, the Tim Pool and Andy No thing, but they point out So this is the mainstream coverage or the corporate coverage. It's not that any of the information strung together about Brooks appears to be wrong. And then down the bottom, if the goal was virality, accuracy be damned, then no is right. So they're in 2 paragraphs. They're saying not that any of it is incorrect or inaccurate. We're not saying that, but accuracy be damned. Like, that's their headline. And then they pair that with this. This is from, I don't know, somebody, but it says, open my news extension thing. There was a car accident in a crowd, people injured. We don't know who did it or why. Open 4chan. There was a car incident at Christmas market, at least 5 dead. Here is the car of the guy, his name, his face, his YouTube, his Twitter, his political views, his criminal history, the DA that freed him, and what his dog ate yesterday. Just pointing out how worthless.
And that's the good news, right?
Journalists are.
And that's the good news, right? That we have in the internet information age. We're seeing the media's control of narratives slipping. We're seeing the fact that we can now just troll them in the comments, and of course now they turn off comments and they take away the dislikes.
Yep.
But for those who are willing to pay attention and see what's really going on, it's there now, and more people see it and can fight against whatever narratives they're pushing, and just be better journalists, be better people. And of course, there's still people can be full shit too, just as much off the main media stuff, but. It's awesome that and it's why I have less patience and less sympathy for those of us who are of our generation, who have this information available. We know how to use it, and who still want to maintain whatever the
anybody can do this. Yeah. Literally anybody can. Right. It's a freaking DuckDuckGo search. Just look up who was this guy? That's really all you got to type in. That's all I typed in. And the way they're spinning it into not only do we not have any indication of what could have possibly caused this after all that wall of information, but how about headlines from yesterday, the day before, or right before this happened? We were talking about this frickin' Kenosha case, and everybody saying nation braces for fallout. President Biden is angry and concerned about the verdict. He agrees, or he goes with it or whatever, but the nation braces for fallout. This, everybody knew that this was certainly a possibility, to the extent that they had the National Guard brought in to act like we had no indication what could possibly cause a black man who happens to be involved with BLM to drive over a bunch of people in the general area of the Wisconsin stuff. And 2 days after it, when we were talking about riots happening and deaths happening, and them saying there will be blood in the streets if this doesn't go our way, and then something like this happens, we have no possible way of knowing what could have possibly, led to this man's outrage. But
I know. And it's sad that people would think that us trying to point out this hypocrisy or whatever is that we're somehow making some anti-black statements. It's no, that's not the point being made. It's look how selective they are.
Yeah.
And how willing they're to lie for one thing or another. And it's just, like I said, I'm running out of patience. So I want to make fun of all these.
But wait.
I'm tired. Oh, there's more.
There's more.
Okay. Hold on. It gets worse.
This is a BLM activist. A BLM activist commenting on this situation that happened.
I don't know. Now, we'll have to wait and see, because they do have somebody in custody. We may have to wait and see what they say about why this happened. But it sounds possible that the revolution has started in Wisconsin, starting with this Christmas parade. Now, I don't know. Maybe it's something I'm missing, but I said I wasn't going to speak on the rumors. Y'all are repeating some of the stuff that, that has come up. And I did tell you that the initial person who reached out to me said that they believe that this has to do with the verdict. And so I made an assumption of which side it would be from, but I don't know. Sounds like somebody, multiple people, I mean, I don't know.
That's why I'm not going to repeat it or
That's why I'm not going to repeat it. I'm just going to say it sounds like the revolution is starting.
A
That doesn't
revolution
sound
of
like
what? To start
right.
murdering random people? What the fuck kind of revolution are you talking about, man? I'm
Yeah.
here for the revolution against the fucking people in power, okay?
Right.
The people whose media narratives and things we need to push back. God.
And I don't know this guy. I don't want to accuse him of like condoning it. He didn't condone it. He also didn't condemn it. He just said it sounds like this is what's going on. He might have been doing exactly what we're kind of doing. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that, but it's still to not have any comment other than, you know, this is what it sounds like. Sounds like it has something to do with
it.
Right.
Like this isn't the kind of revolution I want. You know, I want know. Yeah.
So yeah. No reason to make note of, you know, this guy gets it, seems to, you know, have more of an open mind on what went down here than CNN does, at least. But what's interesting that another thing that the media seems to not be talking a whole lot about is this young lad here who seems to be in the news quite a bit for certain things, but not for this for some reason.
It's nothing to do with race. It never had anything to do with race. It had to do with the right to self-defense.
Right.
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement. I support peacefully demonstrating, and I believe there needs to be change.
For some reason, the media is not only ignoring the one guy's ties to BLM or his statements about BLM. They're ignoring Kyle Rittenhouse, it seems like, in his statements on BLM as well. But not to be too white-pilled here and too positive. Of course, BLM had to respond. They're responding to Kyle's statement, at least. So
they did.
Good on them for having more balls than CNN to cover that Kyle Rittenhouse would say. I don't know. They
noticed, yeah.
On the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, I think that it would behoove him to not say anything on that type of matter. To say, obviously, this had nothing to do with race. I was defending myself. I was there cleaning up. Like, state the facts and don't even talk about the frickin' movement, because that's such a trap of worms. Like,
I know, because I no longer support it, but it's funny that he could totally flip the script around and be so generous to the people calling for his, like, almost to make them think and go, are you sure? You know, like, I don't know if he's doing this on purpose or if he's just like, you know, I want to extend some kind of reaffirm the not racial issue part. I don't know, but it's so funny that left-wing brains and right-wing brains, I'm sure, broke.
Here we go. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
And they're using tools. They are a propaganda machine that's used to make the nonsensical seem to make sense. And so they want to make Kyle Rittenhouse both the young hero of white supremacy, but also not be a blatant white supremacist. And so he's declaring this support for Black Lives Matter, very kind of tacit support for Black Lives Matter and for so-called peaceful protests. At the same time, we see all over his social media him throwing up white supremacist signs, and people know what it is. It's very clear.
It's the OK sign, people. It was a joke made up by Reddit for them to troll the media.
Wasn't it a joke?
Yes, it was a joke.
Wasn't it to say, hey, if we pretend this thing is a thing that it's not, look how dumb they are to believe us, and then keep going. And then that's exactly what they're doing.
Now, they're right. They're still running with it. Now, I'm sure there might be some white supremacists out there who are using it as a sign to each other or whatever.
He was waiting. He was like, now's the time.
Right. Yes.
He guy
posted it all over his thing.
Oh.
Yeah. And so what she's talking about is like 1 or 2 pictures where he was saying or throwing up the OK sign. And then she goes on to say this.
He is and what he's doing. Again, they're trying to make nonsense make sense. Well, I think
she's accusing people. She's accusing Kyle Rittenhouse of trying to make nonsense make sense. But like that's what she's saying he's doing. While she's calling him out for having the OK sign on his page as white supremacy. And that's it. Yeah. That's all she has to point to for white supremacy was that he had the OK sign in one of his images. But he's the one.
I thought we were supposed to be the paranoid conspiracy theorists. I thought we're supposed to be the crazy, like, conspiracy connect the dots that aren't there people. No, apparently it's fucking
It's impressive, man.
That Black Lives Matter organizers, those of us who choose to struggle for racial and social justice, have a lot of work to do in disrupting and dismantling unjust systems, like the criminal system of injustice, like right-wing media, that again is a propaganda machine that enables white supremacy and violent white supremacy. We have a lot of work to do, and I don't have time to waste trying to convince those who've already taken the side of white supremacy to come over to our side. That said, you know, of
Who
course,
are these
we
people?
encourage everybody in the world to educate themselves, but I don't have time.
So she's saying I don't have time to try and convince obvious flagrant white supremacists like Kyle Rittenhouse to come support my movement. Man, like immediately he says something like, you know, I support the peaceful protest for, you know, Black lives and everything. I just don't like the riots. And the response is, no, we don't want you. You're an evil white supremacist, and that's been proven. It's like,
and it goes to show that the movement, at least the people who are the spokesmen and seem to be, you know, at the height of it, but even a lot of just people on the ground, it's like, originally, right, the pitch was, oh, no, we don't support the violence and rioting. We just support the peaceful part. And that's why last year, I was like, okay, I'm down for that, and was kind of behind some of it.
Yeah.
But if now they're saying, if you don't also endorse the violent part, you're not with us, then it's like, okay, so then this is pro-violence. This is not the peaceful thing you're trying to pretend it.
Right. And what does she want from Kyle? Like, Kyle was there cleaning up and lending aid to people on both sides of this thing, and defending minorities and their businesses. And he was defending himself against racist white guy screaming the N-word at him. And she doesn't want that support. And
here's what's weird, right? Because and don't be wrong, like I get we're like, yeah, there's some fringe weird stuff on the right too, but like, if there was really this prevalence of it, wouldn't it be way easier to dig up or drag up actual examples of this shit where you could just blast that every single day? You'd only need like one, and you can milk that for a year.
They
right?
would.
And
if they had one thing. They're milking the OK sign from like a year or two ago, being on his page. That's all they have to go with. Meanwhile, we've got pages and pages of this other dude whose name I don't remember, just spewing white hate and about Black Revolution, and we can't possibly come up with a motive for. We know that he killed people. Yeah. We know it was intentional, but it's not terrorism. It's obviously just accidental running people over on purpose. I don't understand what you people are even trying to say is the motive. Now, I could be entirely wrong. There's a slight possibility that, you know, the guy made a really bad string of accidents in his life, and he just suddenly woke up and found himself
mental break or something. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Sure, it's
but there was.
We'll see. But
there was another video on on the topic of whether or not, because that was the argument I was gonna make, was like, you know, maybe he was on drugs, maybe he like had I don't know, maybe. We can't see he was asleep at the wheel. We can't, because the cops knocked on him. We can't say it was an accident because he slowed down, then he sped up, and he kept going, and then he ran, and then he ended up at a neighbor's house where we have the Ring doorbell, God bless him, with this footage. Oh, what are you doing?
I called an Uber, and I'm supposed to be waiting for it over here, but I don't know when it's coming. Can you call it for me, please?
With sirens blaring in the background, Daryl Brooks knocked on Daniel Ryder's door just minutes after zigzagging through the parade route.
I opened the door and I looked, and he's like, I don't have any weapons. So I looked around and saw that he didn't have weapons on him, and I said, okay, you can use my phone.
Brooks sat on Ryder's couch.
There's your racist America. White guy lets a criminal into his house. I guess he makes him a sandwich, lets him use his phone, harboring a criminal. That's your racist America, folks.
And borrowed his phone to call his mother, so Ryder never got alerts to shelter in place or messages about a suspect on the loose. He had no idea what had happened or who he was speaking with face to face.
He was telling me that, oh, is there something going on downtown? I was like, there's a parade today, I know, but and he's like, oh, that's probably what is a parade. So he was just completely putting on a face and lying about everything.
But when no Uber came for Brooks, Ryder told him to leave, and he did. Police were already closing in.
That guy's lucky he's alive, frankly.
Seriously. Seriously.
Whoa. Hey, do you know this guy? Absolutely not.
Just a few blocks
Absolutely
away.
not. He's like, no.
He's like, holy shit.
I made him a sandwich. That's all. I didn't do it. I'm sorry.
Bro, we shared a sandwich together. Why aren't you going to vouch for me? We ate a whole sandwich together.
Yep.
I've known you for 40 minutes. Yeah.
You start hearing screaming, and then you're seeing people crying, and we couldn't figure out at first what was going on.
As she and her husband...
All right, we know all that. Whatever. So yeah, I would say he was out of his mind. He was drugged. Whatever, like all that goes out the window as well, because this guy had the wherewithal to go to a neighbor's house or a local's house, knock on the door, make up a fake story, go in, eat a sandwich, call an Uber, trying to abandon his car there, trying to, like, I don't know.
That is a guilty person trying to hide and thinking they're clever and getting a free sandwich out of it, I guess. You know, had to take advantage of someone's kindness one last time before getting caught.
I think we've thoroughly exhausted this topic, but I hope it just goes to show what the media is doing here. Like, it just seems so freaking obvious. And again, it has nothing to do with race. And that's what they don't want you to know. Like, they want you to believe
they
it has
want
something
it to do with race. Yeah.
Right. They don't want it to be tied to BLM.
Except when it goes the way they don't want.
Right.
Then they're like, wait, no, it's not race.
Yeah, they're barely mentioning his skin color in this because it's not working in their favor for their narrative that everybody is a racist trying to kill black people when a black guy does this. And there's no indication of what might have been his motive or anything like that. Like that, I don't know. Like what more evidence do you need that CNN is at best completely fucking retarded and at worst maliciously ignorant and criminally, I would say, half the time for not even bringing it up.
Seriously.
I'm not saying that they should do like what they did to Kyle Rittenhouse, but maybe just a mention of this guy seems to be a pretty avid BLM supporter who thinks that, you know, certain people of certain color, you know, have more importance.
Yeah, at a minimum, tell the truth. I mean, I get you're going to spin your agenda, but to at least not omit facts, or at least to tell the truth, rather than in Kyle's case where it just straight up lied.
Right.
And I can't wait to see these people fall. I can't wait to. I want to get to a point where some of these people never work again, where they don't have a job in this business ever again, because they're complicit. And I guess, they're hired by Bill Gates now to do lying on his behalf. But I need more people to see how full of shit they are, how monstrously irresponsible they are with these things. This isn't just like, you know, look at the ratings. We're scaring you, and we're spinning stuff just so you'll click and watch. It's like we're getting people killed because we're that irresponsible with the things we're telling you. And again, it's not that we want to take it to the stretch that words are automatically violence, but just that, like, you know, if you're going to point the finger, man, look in the mirror. Look what you're doing to people. Look what you're doing to make people hate each other.
And it's not just them covering up that he was tied to BLM. It's like, why are you covering up that he's tied to BLM? Could it be because you've been stoking the BLM fire for the last 3-4 years? Like, I don't know. Who's culpable in this? If the media propaganda goes into, like, white people are oppressing black people and we need to do something about it, you know, and then covering up all the terrible things that BLM has done over the last couple of years and all that, and pushing this, a white man got off again and it's all Whitey's fault. It's like,
right.
At what point do you take any responsibility for this stuff happening? But they're not going to have to, because they're not going to even acknowledge that he was linked to that group.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of other stuff we were going to talk about, but are you down to do a little bit of bonus?
We still can. Yeah, we can do bonus, whatever you want. I'm down. I got the day free.
Awesome. So I did have another main couple of stories on COVID that I think are interesting, and I have some conspiracy stuff about the Kyle stuff and some conspiracy stuff about some other things in the news. So we're going to get even deeper and weirder and crazier over in the bonus, but we'll wrap this one up. It went on much longer than I intended for it to, but I do think it's important. Like, I didn't come out and report on this right away because you have to wait until some facts start coming out. I don't want to do live coverage of the thing as it's happening and make stuff up. But I decided, you know, there's enough stuff on this now that just on this guy's thing alone, that and how the media is covering it, that this needs to be talked about, just because you're being lied to, we're all being lied to, we're being brainwashed into believing that we should hate our neighbors, we should go out and run people over. That's their goal. I'm just going to say that's their intention, is for this this division to happen, and for the low poors to all be squabbling about race and gender while the upper class are feeding off of us. But Jack, do you have any final thoughts, and where can people find all the stuff about you?
I just want to say I learned more about that situation being on here with you than anything else I had heard in the news so far, and that tells you something.
And probably more than you will hear in the news ever.
Yeah, seriously, you're doing the real journalistic work, and I'm glad you're covering this stuff.
I appreciate it.
As far as my stuff, again, jackcaseybooks.com. WVW is now official December 11th, and it's going to be fun. There's something in there to trigger everybody and make fun of it all. I take swings at the left, the right, even the libertarians, and definitely I take a big swing at the woke stuff.
A little bit of conspiracy, a little bit of politics, and a little bit of religion.
Oh yeah,
I'd say.
It's got it all. Absolutely, yeah. And what can I say? I was thinking about this recently. I thought, it's funny. The last time when we did our first interview, like, gosh, I guess like 6 months ago now.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
You had asked, and ever since, it said something like, "Oh, so the Royal Green, it's like The Matrix meets Twilight or vampires," right. and we laughed about it. And then I'm realizing maybe you incepted something there, because now my brain was like, The Matrix, vampires, werewolves, witches. What if they were in control? Yeah. So
you're saying everybody's going to hate this book, but you wrote it just for me, and that's all that matters. In fairness, this is the first book. This is the first book I read more than one chapter of in as long as I can remember. So, yeah,
that's an honor.
There.
I will not take that lightly. That is a huge badge of honor. Thank you.
Right on.
I'm glad it made you laugh.
Yes,
there's a lot of fun stuff in there.
Yes, there is.
People who like the show will like it. I'll say that for sure.
I'd say so.
Some people won't.
I agree.
Some out there will be very mad at me, and I can't wait to let them tell me why they're so mad at me.
Right on. Well, Jack, thanks for being here, man, and giving us the time. And we're going to give some more time to you people over in the Downers Club, people like Jack Casey or CD and Shannon, who are still up in this. I don't know if they're down to listen to some more, but we're going to give you some more, because I do have some more things to talk about. I had a whole bunch of things, but we're going to talk about the important ones. Some COVID stuff, some Christmas stuff. What else do we got here? Oh, some Fauci. He's torturing monkeys now, not just dogs, so that's fun. Marines saying whatever. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it over in the Downers Club. If you're not in there, go over to patreon.com/thesystemIsDown and sign up today. But we've gone long-winded here. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been worth your time. There was a lot to dig into. I hope that we covered it all. But go on over to patreon.com/thesystemIsDown and get into the Downers Club for this and all of the after parties and all the bonus that we do every single week. And it supports this show, since I'm not allowed to monetize anything, and you can only guess why. But thank you guys for being here. I believe next week, same time, same station, same discomfort, right here on The System Is Down, and thesystemisdown.tv for all of your The System Is Down needs. Until next Wednesday or sooner, question everything, stay uncomfortable, and we'll talk to you then. Peace out. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers episodes of the show every single. Thanks.